All right. Yeah, I mean, if you end up with any questions, please never hesitate to ask because it is the type of thing where this is a place to start the campaign, is to realistically, like anybody who's level 5 and above, you can kind of throw into this area and push forward. Um, a little bit beyond these cubes is like you can start as like a high level campaign and have fun here. So it's a interesting but almost proper place to have someone jump in. As far as things go, Justin, before you immediately do pull yourself out of there, one of the things that you all will notice written into the stone as you are leaving that hallway, this is like one of those perspective drawings where it seems like there's almost just like white paint on the wall. And then when you get into the right angle, it's like a smiley face written across like a whole hallway. It's very much a perspective thing of when you all turn around and you start to walk out of this room, you can see that there are like carved cuneiform surrounding this, and it kind of like walks out of this tunnel with again Island and yourself can translates. And actually, while we're starting off here, let me have a intelligence from Zaps. I think it was intelligence 15 to be able to translate the cuneiform.
Just like a saving throw or just straight up intelligence roll?
Intelligence check. History, if you have it. I think you had history, no? Nope, you did not.
How's about a natural 20?
Yeah, so anytime that I talk about being able to translate the old Amauan, we will add you into the list. I believe that means we're calling it as currently Taryn is the only one who cannot just take the time to translate it. But that gives you kind of that same. Um, Obviously, again, I'm not really putting you with the party at present, but they're kind of walking out to meet you as they see this last clue in the hallway. And this one says, Wongo's friend knows where to pour the water.
Okay, I wouldn't know anything about that yet because I haven't actually been in there.
Yeah, exactly. This is just something that when they would have went to leave this room, um, we kind of left off with them planning on investigating to the far right side. But with the actual idea that they go to leave this room, they'll have the perspective that they see this next section of writing. But again, this is the type of thing. Anytime you're getting puzzle clues, I need you guys to like always work full steam because there's playing your character, giving riddles that the player still has to solve, and then getting frustrated with them. So you kind of have to like keep me comprised. But for what it's worth, even though we don't have Zaps right now, I also don't have Taryn or Island. So if you've kind of picked up on anything from what he said in the recap, or from just that extra bit of not information there, you guys can like. I don't want you to not use it. Riddles are always a unique thing where meta knowledge is kind of expected or hoped for. Don't necessarily ruin somebody's fun if you accidentally looked it up.
Uh, could you remind me what the Jakuli is?
The Jakuli. Oh, that's the snake. They're like flying snakes that have. Um, I mean, I would almost say those are like Chinese dragons, like wingless dragons. The actual flying snake that like Island has is kind of like a ancestor protege. It probably comes from the Jakuli.
Okay. I recall from the myths, a Sioux monster. One of the myths is that, like, the Sioux monster broke into Toa's palace and stole a pail of water. And when Toa went to find it, he found it hidden in the Jakuli's burrow. I just couldn't remember what.
Yeah, so the Jakuli is actually I posted that up at the end of the last session. So right before it says, I think Chris said something on April 25th. The Jakuli is that kind of dragon-looking snake. And yeah, what was it? Wongo stole the water and hid it in the Jakuli's burrow, and the Jakuli ratted him out to Ubtoa. So Wongo hates the Jakuli because it couldn't just keep the secret.
Right. Okay.
Do you remember anything specific that was done with that pail of water?
The whole general idea of the myth was that it stopped raining in Chalt and people were dying. So I think that's part of why, like, when the flail snail accidentally blinded Ubtoa, and Ubtoa crying brought life back to Chalt. That's like the kind of like why these gods are good kind of end result. I think you would remember that the Almirage is, I keep switching off of the page. The Almirage is Ijin, and it was trying to show Ubtoa like the good qualities of humans and why Ubtoa should like save kind of like humanoids and all of the life in Chult. And the person who pissed it off was Ublaka, which is the magical kind of koala bear. And it really thought kind of being like what was it? It's not like crass. It's almost like chaotic. It thought that was a virtue. Let me see, where's the actual word? Recklessness. It threw recklessness into this kind of like pile of virtues that they were actually feeding as food to Ubtoa and kind of ruined the dish. So the Almirage was annoyed. So that was like the Almirage's attempt to charm Ubtoa into giving water back to the people. The Kamadan, which I think is Shigmambi, is the snake, or the no wait, the Kamadan is, yeah, Shigambi, which is the leopard with like the snake kind of shoulders. And that one had an issue with Nang Nang. And I think Nang Nang chased it away with the spear. I think the Commandant actually was going to punish um, the Omawans. Yeah, so the Iblis sent the marsh frog to reason with Ubtoa, and they wrestled, and that's why Ubtoa gave it the strength of the other tentacles that it would chase off Papazoa with. They all have kind of their reasons that they were appealing to Ubtoa, kind of thing, and things tend to make it worse. The last one being the Sioux Monster, which is Wongo here, and he was the one who stole water, hid it in the snake's burrow, and then got turned in, got ratted on. And then again, the final one is then Unk, that accidentally blinded Ubtoa from all of the noise, came out from underground, blinded Ubtoa, and Ubtoa crying brought life back. My bad. None of that was better than just reading the myth to you.
No, you're good.
At some point, I should just go back and watch the video, the part where you read it, because since Eku essentially like knows it all, I figure like it would make sense that we could ask her to to refresh our memory. So maybe I'll just go back and like have better notes on that stuff without having to
I'll
ask constantly.
I'll create a clip for it and just make that as an audio file.
Okay, cool. So are you still walking out, Justin?
Yeah, so Jarek would like he'd pause like as they're walking out and take a little bit of time to read it. And then yeah, he would kind of puzzle over it a little bit and then continue walking back out to where he is now. And I presumably the others, maybe for now, like Island's still kind of in there studying it.
All right, well, give me just a second. Okay, I'm gonna give you a real brief rundown. Okay, I don't know how two of them got on there. Anyways, as you guys are pretty much walking out of that temple, you are gonna see about a 2.5 foot tall kobold. He's kind of orangish red in color. Uh, he's got a bunch of various different things on him, and he's just kind of looking around constantly. He's always looking around. He's always fiddling with something. He kind of just looks like a little nut job.
Well, as Jarek will be kind of a little taken aback as he's walking out, but as he's doing so, you'd see he looks human, just a little under 6 feet, lean but pretty solid build. Um, he's wearing some studded leather armor that actually looks a little bit um, newer, or at least less worn than all of his other clothes, which are all dirty and ragged. You'll see a rather ornate looking hilt on his belt. A bow strapped over his shoulder. Looks like he knows how to take care of himself. Fairly gruff expression uh, on his face. Um, but he would uh, spotting the kobold. He would kind of like pause for a second. He almost kind of like glance back inside, but then turn back again and just kind of like brow furring a little bit. Uh, Greetings, and then just kind of stop with that.
Oh, holy shit. Okay. Sorry, didn't notice you there. Uh, whoa. There's other people besides me here. That's nuts. Oh my god, it's been so long since I saw somebody else.
And he's just going to kind of start like panicking and looking around like, oh shit, there's actually somebody else here. You can tell looking at him, he's obviously been out in this jungle for a while now, and he looks like he's been through some shit.
So, among the others that are traveling with Jarek here, you're going to see an older, dark-skinned woman who's about 5.5 like feet tall, like just under kind of 6, but still towering over you. And she's kind of walking, not necessarily with like limps, but very slow, purposeful steps. You can certainly see a little bit of age in how this person's moving, and how everything is definitely in a contrast to a very purposeful, and everything's kind of like well thought out. This person's wearing very typical Cholton clothing, very light, doesn't display anything that seems to be any sign of what um, things they might be doing. They are simply walking. I think I've described her with a walking staff before, but that is essentially all she carries. This is someone who's wearing light clothing as well as walking lightly with essentially a cane. Uh, then we have Taryn, is a small person about your height, about 2.5 feet tall. They seem to wear some different leathers and carry I think he still has a couple of swords on his belt, but at times is basically just a little bit of leather and a little bit of short person. The other one is, I think, just a little bit shorter than Jarek, standing a little bit more metallic with a big club at his waist and a large shield. I think he's also wearing studded leather armor, and I think realistically, probably Taryn and Island wear very similar armors. And I think Jarek's is the one that kind of looks different than the three of them at this point. Um, and yeah, do a religion check for me, Zaps.
22.
Yeah, so when you glance at the person who is kind of northwest of Jarek, you will see that I don't know where his emblem is, but you recognize it. He is a serv he's in service of Saloon, the moon goddess. Um, I'm looking to see where his pendant is. I always like to say they are on their shields, but he might have a different one. Um, but you see that, yeah, he just wears a holy symbol. So you would just kind of see it draped across his neck and his chest, and recognize this as somebody who worships Saloon.
Yeah, I got to mention like the armor that Derek's wearing, like it looks, well maintained, but not doesn't quite fit right. Like maybe it was made for someone with like a different shape, or not made for him, but seems to do the job, you know, like it would do the job well enough.
Do a history check for me, Zeps.
14.
You're aware enough. You can decide how much encounters you have had with Yuan-Ti, but they are one of the native peoples in this area, and in particular Omu. And I think with enough of a moment, you can at least see that this armor at one point was designed for someone who doesn't have hips. So you can recognize that Jarek's armor is a little bit more designed for somebody who's already turning into a snake. And either this person has killed Yuan-Ti or they have taken this armor from them. But it's very clearly not meant for a human.
Okay, cool.
So I think other than the others showing up, seeing that there's a larger group here, a little bit of shaking in nerve in your voice, Eku's going to just kind of stepping forward very slowly with kind of palms open, just kind of like lightly setting her staff to the side. You have nothing to fear from us. And she's just going to look around and, are there others with you?
There were for a time, but I've been alone for a while now. I was sent here with another group to explore these ruins and try to help, but they were lost in our travels, and I have been lost until I found the city, and now I've just been wandering alone.
Jarek will kind of nod pretty solemnly at Zaps is relaying that he's lost his party, and he'll say, "We've lost more than a few ourselves out here in the jungle. Glad to see you're seem to be doing all right. Perhaps we should join forces. Not certainly not safe alone out here."
I agree. If you're willing to have me, I would much rather be in the company of others. It's a mighty big place for such a small kobold.
Echo kind of leaning down a little bit closer to the ground, still continuing this like slow movement, is just going to. We have a higher calling, friend. And just kind of reaching out her hand to you with a palm up, the hand that was previously holding her staff. She's just going to kind of reach out for your hand.
I want to reach out and take it.
So when she touches your hand, you're going to see as she closes her eyes. And then after a moment, she'll kind of open her eyes back up and you would be welcome to join us. All of our lives are in great danger. But if you are willing to help many more than yourself, we would be honored. And then she'll look back towards Jarek and the other three. And you'll kind of like, all of you will kind of see like a moment of, ooh, did I just go too far?
Jarek will he'll nod and kind of reassuringly at Eku, and he'll say says as Eku here says, our task is a important one, but sorry, I'm trying to think of how he would bring up Syndra.
Didn't Mara basically say each one of us would have a symbol somewhere on us saying, hey, Syndra sent us?
Yeah, I feel like regardless, you guys are in a solid place to avoid it right now. The way you started that conversation, Jarek would know full well that Eku just cast a spell on Zaps. He is not an evil person. And that is one of the things, like kind of her own little test that you've experienced. So I think you guys are in a good place that you can avoid that to a more natural time. But I definitely think, without having ever thought about it in the past, there should have been some sort of an emblem that kind of like betrays. I was thinking that at some point, like say, Taryn tries to do like a little bit of thieves' cant, just as like a test to see, does he recognize if I like code to him that we're traveling for someone else? Because I think the way Zap said we were sent here, I think that would ring with the others of you. You know, Syndra sent other people into this jungle. Um, so there's almost that like level of, you were sent. Who were you sent by? But you guys are on like enough of a level that where perhaps right now you're kind of exploring that to see like what kind of intentions do you show. Um, but again, it's kind of up to you guys. If you want to make it clear that you have an emblem, that sounds awesome to me. It gets past it. If you guys want to keep playing it out and have it be over time, I'm 100% behind that as well.
I feel like, okay, let's just go with there's an emblem thing. Where would it be on Jarek's person?
Yeah, so with that, I feel like the most likely thing is to kind of like pull out the Lord of the Rings, like their little brooches. If it is cloak related and it's kind of part of how your cloak like connects to your armor, pretty much everybody at some point will have rain gear that is effectively their traveling cloak, because it's constantly raining here. You never have a day that it doesn't rain. Um, that's going to be the time where it is most evident, but I feel like that's like the solid explanation. Um, Here, let me do a roll and see if walking out it's raining. Yeah, I feel like that is perfectly satisfactory to say the type of thing that you guys are out in the rain, and like walking out to this meeting is the time where you would pull up your cloak and almost give that away. And you might notice the same thing on Zaps as he's out here kind of fiddling around.
Yeah, I think once like Eku does her thing, and yeah, Jarek knows what she's doing. He would kind of similarly he'd move forward to kind of like leaning down a bit to extend a hand to Zaps, and maybe as he's doing that is when first time Zaps would see that emblem, and as Jarek is like kind of reaching out, he'd be like be introducing himself. It's like I'm Jarek, and then he'd like kind of Taryn Island, and Eku. Uh, yeah, and then at that point you would be when Zaps would see the emblem.
Holy crap! Cinder sent you too. Oh my god!
And he's just gonna jump up and basically like almost hug your leg, kind of. You can tell he's a little spastic. You can tell he's really intelligent, but he's not the most charismatic person.
Yeah, you'd see Jarek kind of like he'd definitely be taken aback by that. He'd kind of almost like grit his teeth. Like he's not a hugger, let's put it that way. But he would he wouldn't like move or push him away or anything. And he'd kind of like he'd raise his eyebrows at Zap's mention of Syndra. As she did mention she'd sent others. Haven't met any before, as far as I know, but perhaps it's fate.
I call it just dumb luck.
He says, climbing down off your leg.
Oh, thank God. She sent us here. I don't even know how long ago. I don't know how long I've been wandering.
Roll a d12.
That's 12.
So at some point, Jarek can certainly share with you. I'd say maybe Jarek doesn't know exactly the date, but you know that you are in the month of Flame Rule, Summertide. So you guys are kind of in um, like the heat of summer. Um, and I think you would be able to then figure out that you have been out in the jungle for at least like 7 or 8 months, depending on like when you find out what the actual date. But that Sindra sent you out here ages ago. You can play it up to yourself how much of that is new information, like how many months kind of got lost. That's up to you to kind of ad lib. But effectively, we'll say that you were sent out last Nightal, which is the 12th month of the year, and it is now the 7th month of the year. It's this news that you are getting.
All right, cool.
As far as we were told to come and help explore this place and find the way to.
Oh, shit. Hold on. I'm trying to remember exactly what she said. Basically, I'm on the same mission as you guys with Sindra. That's what she sent me on.
Yeah, so Jarek will he'll nod and I don't know. I'm not sure if Syndra. I don't know if Syndra actually knows about the cubes, but Jarek will explain kind of fill a bit of details about like why we're at this, why we're here, particularly right now. Saying there seem to be 9 temples within Omu. Each one seems to contain one of these cubes, which are needed. We've been able to recover 3 of them so far, and we're hoping to get the 4th one here. And he'll kind of look back towards the temple and then look back down towards Zaps. Tell me, Zaps, you any good at puzzles?
Well, I'd be more than happy to help in any way I can. If it's puzzles or some kind of trap, it's one of my favorite things to do.
Well then, good luck indeed. We stumbled across each other. My friends here have been able to figure a few things out. I'm afraid my My talents tend to lie elsewhere, but and then he'll go on to kind of just like briefly explain what they found here at this temple so far, with like the writing about the um, along the colonnade. I think it was better to be Wongo's friend than his enemy, and now the writing along the wall that we saw as we were walking out. Uh, Wongo's friend knows where to pour the water. And he will say, "We're just about getting ready to explore one of these, couple of these uh, side entrances," and he'll gesture to like the cobweb-filled ones.
All right then, let's have at it.
You can tell Zaps may have been nervous initially meeting you, but he's really not a coward. He's pretty. He'll go pretty much anywhere. He's very curious.
Right. So, yeah, so I think Island, who is the guy northwest of me, the one with the mace and the cleric, he had suggested checking out this rightmost thing. So Jarek doesn't have a better idea, so he will kind of gesture over towards that same one, and they might as well start with this one, I suppose. Hopefully, there's something in one of these other passages that might shed a bit more light on what we need to do with this water to find this. There seems to be always some trick to, or the cube will make itself known.
Well, let's go take a crack at it. See if we can't figure it out.
So just kind of a little bit of other things that are kind of like slightly overhead but very meaningful. Um, if Zaps gets a kick out of the idea of this is probably part of what actually brought you here. Is the joy of kind of Ubtoa is a puzzle kind of god. Like life is a maze. When you die, you find the end of the maze. People who like ascend in his religion can solve their maze before they die. So that was always kind of one of like the Ubtoa passages is solving a maze. All of these trickster gods are pranksters. Tricksters, tricky, pranky. That's what they do. So they all have their pranks that are hiding these little cubes. When you all head into this first one, I don't remember what the torch situation was previously. Was that room you guys just under the light of Taryn's rings? Or were you guys carrying torches before? Do you remember, Jarek?
Um, I know we had lit up torches in the last temple. This one I don't recall, but I feel like Jarek would have lit up a torch once we were inside.
Gotcha. When you guys go into this one, do you have thoughts? Or is Jarek going to lead? Um, you guys can. I know Chase doesn't know them yet, but you guys can determine what Island and Taryn are doing if you need them to do anything, as well as always Eku. So it doesn't have to be just the two of you operating today. But what are your thoughts as you head into that little corridor?
As far as the torch and everything goes, Zaps has got dark vision, so the dark tunnels and stuff really don't bother him. But if we are in need of light,
Yeah, I mean, well, so Jarek and Island definitely, and Taryn's I can never remember if Taryn's a halfling or a gnome for some reason.
I feel like
Pretty
he
sure he's a
does not
halfling.
have night vision.
Yeah, so he's a halfling then. I think 'cause gnomes have it, but halflings don't. Um, but I guess like probably the first thing would be as Jarek is like coming over here, like he'd probably, if we're gonna go inside, he would suggest that maybe Taryn recently has been kind of leading the way, kind of looking for traps and stuff. But he just wants to take a look and see how thick are these like kind of like spider webs, cobwebs that are covering it, covering these entrances. Do they appear to be like they would be made by very bigger creatures, or just kind of standard typical cobweb type stuff.
I think do nature check,
Thinking because
maybe
like
history.
I guess it would be almost kind of like trying to compare it to the ones that they had seen um, back in the
That's
Nangalore,
why
I
I was
think.
thinking the nature. I think God, I can't even remember Nangalore. I know you saw them in Firefinger. Was Nangalore the first Nang Nang place? God, it's been so long.
The Nangalore was the gardens, right, where we met the.
Oh yes. Okay. I
I
got
don't think
you.
we actually ran into any spiders there, but we saw like a bunch of webbing, like that looked like
Yeah,
it
you
was.
guys stayed away from them. Yeah, I feel like the nature check is trying to determine like what this webbing can tell you. I think looking into this one, you'll see a little bit more signs that these are probably normal spiders. That you have creepy crawlies ahead of you, not necessarily spiders that are going to try to eat you.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, Jarek's probably not really bothered by that, so he'll try to like kind of start like just with his hand, kind of like trying to wipe away some of the webs, and he would probably
You have your torch on you.
yes.
You're in a stone building.
Oh yeah, I could just burn them off. Yeah, makes more
Oh,
sense.
wait, hold on. Zap seeing you do that, he's gonna go, "Oh, wait, friend, hold on. I have a thing for this." And I'm gonna make my little cannon for the day. I'm gonna choose the flamethrower cannon,
What size are you making it?
tiny, where I can hold it in my hand.
Gotcha.
Zaps is gonna walk up, and you're gonna see what almost looks like another small kobold with two legs, with just a barrel sticking out of its mouth. And as he just kind of looks at it, and you see just this slight flash between him and the cannon, it's going to let out a jet of flame in a 15-foot cone that goes straight down that hallway.
Yeah, so as you light up the hallway is going to cascade into fire. You'll be able to see many feet down the hall before you see the wall at the opposite end and kind of this little flash of fire. There's going to be a few moments of smoke. The first few times that you all go to enter into that room, like if you go immediately, there's going to be next to no oxygen, and you're almost going to like stumble to pass out. Is anybody going to continue forward when you kind of have this first reaction?
I feel like Jarek would kind of like be impressed, taken aback but impressed by kind of this trick, um, and he would kind of I think he would start in kind of not he's not the smartest guy. He's not thinking about okay maybe the oxygen's all sucked up, but like as soon as like he started having like difficulty breathing, started maybe like coughing or almost like choking, he would kind of like back away and um,
As he walks forward, Zaps is just going to kind of like grab the back of his pants.
Friend, you might want to give that a minute to clear out.
So yeah, besides just like a quick little difficulty, these are like 20-foot tall ceilings in these corridors. Giving it a little bit of time, oxygen is going to flow back into that place. It's going to be perfectly safe. If you guys wanted to, you've got 3 more of these corridors that are filled with web. If you can, is that something that uses resources once you've made it?
No,
Or
it's
that's just a
it's
cantrip, right?
yeah, it's just one of my class features. I can make one of those little cannons once per long rest, and I can use him as many times as he wants. He's kind of like the other
It's a
thing I
bonus
did.
action to fire it, right? Isn't it's still something, but
No, it doesn't have. It doesn't say like there's any like specific. You can only use it this many times. It's kind of like my old Steel Defender.
that's what I mean. Like the actual use of it is now it's a bonus action to fire that thing.
Yeah, yeah. I have to bonus action and tell it, "Hey, use it." And because I chose the flamethrower, they have to make a dex save of a DC 14 if I attack something. And
Yeah,
as
so, for what it's worth, while you guys are waiting for that room to oxygenate, do you want to clear the other rooms? Or the other entrances?
no, I think we'll keep it one at a time. The one we're going into, because you never know, there could be a reaction out of the other ones. I'm not going to unless asked.
Yeah, so I think Jarek, not really knowing, like, how often he can do that. He wouldn't he would probably it wouldn't occur to him to um just do it for the same for the others. But he'd probably kind of glance back to Taryn at first, but then look towards Zaps, essentially, kind of like, if almost like kind of like waiting for him to say, like, okay, probably been enough time now, and then they're just in like a almost like an after you motion, or he can is he wanting to give Zaps the opportunity before Jarek looks back to Taryn to kind of do like the trap checking, all that.
Gotcha. So after a few moments, you can have Taryn kind of look down. Zaps, you will see as two rings on the kind of pointer fingers of the smaller figure kind of light up and start to emanate a little bit of light out of his palms. And as he kind of looks forward, he'll slowly start moving down this little hallway. Looking through it, there's no traps. He'll be able to make it to the end.
Cool. Zaps is going to take his weapon off of his back. Jarek, what you would see, it's technically a quarterstaff, but basically it's a really well carved quarterstaff. It almost looks kind of like a crossbow, kind of like some gun thing, but as he picks it up and holds it kind of in his arms and sets his little cannon down where it can walk beside him, you're going to notice sigils just start glowing all down the side of it. It almost looks like a rifle that he carries.
Yeah, so Jarek will he's got in addition to like this like ornate hilt, which is like looks like just a hilt at the moment. There's no blade connected to it. But he does have a just like a regular looking short sword kind of along with that. But as he kind of moves to follow in behind, he'll kind of like he'll take this ornate kind of gem crusted hilt. You'll hear him say kind of like some sort of like a command word in some language under his kind of quietly, and you would see suddenly like after a few moments, like kind of like the blade shimmers, and suddenly there's a like cutlass looking blade at the end of this hilt, and he will um, kind of follow inside. He'll probably be considering like that they had just seen the writing on the hallway wall as they were leaving. His attention would probably be focused on that, seeing like if they see any other as he kind of starts walking down the corridor after Taryn and Zaps. If he sees any, if he can make out any writing, and he'd have the torch in the other hand as he's walking down.
As we start going down this hallway, can I make an investigation check to see if I see any kind of like trap triggers, writing on the wall, anything like that?
The two of you can do perceptions for those.
That will be a 16.
So heading down, looking along the stonework, you are going to see pretty smooth, kind of gray sandstone. that makes up these kind of walls, and the tiling goes up to the ceiling and makes this structure. You don't really see anything that seems to be odd missing pieces or like inclusions inside of the stone. Nothing that strikes you as language for Jarek, and nothing that's going to strike Zaps as anything kind of tricky happening as far as traps go. Upon heading all the way down and to the end, that's where something will jump out at you as you see some of the writing in cuneiform around the surface of what you see on this side is effectively just kind of a head-shaped kind of not quite a window, but like a painting's outer edging the frame of the painting, and it's kind of like the oval shape of a head. Around that, you can see some cuneiform. Taking some time to translate it first, or would you like to kind of place your head up to this first?
Oh no, hell no! I'm gonna make sure I know what that writing says before anybody sticks anything in that window.
Gotcha. So when you guys take the time to translate this, unless Jarek is going to rush himself up into it, um, one of the others has no friends.
Okay, and this is just me talking. This is Zaps because Zaps wouldn't know much about the actual origin story. So one of the others has no friends. That would be the snail, correct? The one that actually blinded the original god.
Definitely a potential for you to keep in mind to like oscillate with Zaps, but at the same time, that is a very liberal use of friends, in that the other gods have people they're kind of rivals with. They're almost always somebody who screwed them over, or you played a prank on and they got the best of you in the prank. None of the stories are quite of friendship. Whereas the clues that they've brought back from this temple in particular have used the word of friends. The entry corridor, which will probably go for what you were actually translating when they met you, um, is the one where it is better to be Wongo's friend than his enemy. And then when they left Wongo's like statue, which is the like big monkey statue in the center, that's when they saw written in the corridor, um, Wongo's friend knows where to pour the water.
Okay.
And if I recall, the monkey's hands were kind of like cupped, right? The monkey statue.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I did a good job describing it last time, but the hands are definitely cupped. It's also sitting on its tail, kind of coiled like Tigger, and it's like it's in a full lotus. Its feet are cupped as well. Again, like this is effectively its hands and its feet look exactly the same. It really just has four appendages.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, and not sure if it would we know, like, would we be able to know, like, okay, we're behind the vulture head right now?
I think you guys have enough awareness that at present you at very least know it's either the vulture head or the crocodile head. I think the turn would incline you towards the vulture head, but I think until you guys actually explore more and you basically find out like this place is rather symmetrical, I think that's when you'll know. But I think right now it's safe to like assume you're behind the vulture.
Gotcha. And is that a crocodile head or a zebra head?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it's definitely a zebra. I called it a crocodile because it looks like a crocodile.
Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, like the snout.
Yeah, I see it
Um,
like 100% as the snout. And when it says like one of these has no friends, I'm like the crocodile. It's the fucking crocodile.
Oh yeah, Jarek. Last session, I forgot to include in the recap. Jarek was nearly essentially dragged away and killed by a massive crocodile. So he's developed a bit of a phobia, I think, at this point over crocodiles.
The giant crocodile is a beautiful enemy. It's like,
that.
oh, you're not ready to kill it right now? Cool, because it's dragging away one of your players to die.
Yeah, I think right before it attacked, we had been attacked by a couple smaller ones, and Island was like, "We get them for meat," and then that's when this massive, like, huge thing just like leaped out and basically almost like, I think like almost like chomped Jarek in half right away, like and then dragged him off, and but managed to
I
get through
think
it.
with how low you were, I think you had taken maybe like 10% hit points. You were in the realm where it could have auto killed you. But if you were at full hit points, I think you were safe, kind of thing. And then I rolled like mediocrely well, where it was close to that. But it was definitely the moment where I was like, is that enough? It's like, no, it's still short, but it could have gotten there.
Yeah, because I think because it was like with the tail and the bite, it was like, I don't know, 30 something damage. Which if I was at full health, it would hurt, but I'd still be okay. But I think, yeah, I had already taken some damage at that point, and then I think at one point I rolled a 20 on the death save, so I actually came to, and then like immediately just went back down, like just long enough to stab at it, and then immediately it got knocked unconscious again.
Just long enough to be aware of how much danger you're in.
But
So-
anyway, yeah. So
Coming up to this clue, again, this one says one of them was it damn it, I skipped off of that page. One of them
one of the
doesn't have
others,
friends.
one of the others has no friends, I think.
Yeah, one of the others has no friends.
Yeah, so this seems to Jarek at least like this like a part of a riddle. So he's guessing that there might be other lines in some of these other um uh, hallways. So kind of like after translating this, he'll kind of look back towards Zaps and the others and um suggest maybe we try another thing, and he'll be like, Zaps, if you can do that trick again with the fire, clear out those cobwebs, maybe we can take a look down the next one over.
Be more than happy to.
And then I guess we're just going to move our way up to this next tunnel.
Gotcha. So just going one over to the west there. This time when you blast down it with the fire, you're going to see that there is indeed a end of this tunnel, kind of just inside of the initial site. It's going to burn out in a similar way. You're going to find this one's refilled with oxygen much quicker because it is a shorter corridor. It's only about 20 feet or so ahead of you. But kind of that same feel where you're going to kind of clear it out in a quick blast, but at the same time, you're not going to feel like immediately comfortable heading in there. But you can see once you guys do approach with some light that there is indeed another one of these kind of like framed ovals at the end of the hall. Um, how are you all heading down there?
I feel like Zaps would go first, just taking it real slow, checking his surroundings. He's been in this area enough to know there is traps and shit.
Gotcha. Do a perception. Same thing as you move down this hallway, you're going to see the same kind of gray sandstone. It all seems well fitted together. There's probably still like little remnants of the like spider webbing in kind of the same way. Everything seems pretty well like solidly like grouted, so there's not like little slits between the stones. You don't see any reason to expect any traps.
Okay, yeah, like I said, then Zaps is just going to slowly make his way forward.
Are you going with any light?
No, dark vision, remember? So Zaps doesn't really need it.
Gotcha. So yeah, you're gonna get to this end of the hallway, and you see that oval.
And Jarek would be kind of coming behind. He'll have a torch out because he needs it to see.
So when he gets close enough, you're going to see that the writing is indeed kind of hidden inside of the stone here, and there is cuneiform at the end of this hall.
Okay. Can we translate it again?
When you translate, there is no crocodile, it is a zebra. This one says, my only friend starved to death.
My only friend starved to death. What were the animals in that chamber?
It was a lion, boar, vulture, and zebra.
And this is just me talking, but that makes me lean towards the boar. Boar is the only one without a natural food source in there. Leopard's got the zebra to eat. Vulture's got the zebra's carcass to eat. Zebra's dead. Boar has nothing, no grass or anything in there. But that could be ass backwards wrong. I say we check the other tunnels first.
Yeah, I feel like hopefully maybe if we get if they're assuming there's going to be 4 of these lines, they'll kind of make more sense once we have the fuller picture. But it seems like at least we know the zebra or the vulture wasn't talking about the zebra because the zebra has a friend. Then one of the others has no friends, means the vulture is not talking about the zebra. But yeah, I'd say basically like once we've translated this one, Jared's just gonna suggest we just keep going, check the other 2, similar fashion.
Yep, I'm down.
Going left one more into essentially the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just right down the line. Yeah.
So same thing, you can pop the flamethrower. It will clear out this entrance. You'll see that there is kind of an end to this tunnel. Same idea that it has another one of these kind of wooden framed ovals at the end of it. Making your way down this one, the stonework seems to fit the same bill. Doesn't give any signs of there being any sort of traps. No grout missing in the stonework or anything. Until you get there with light, there is no script to be seen, but when you bring a light down, you will see that this one has cuneiform when you take the time to translate it. The vulture is lucky to be alive.
Okay, the vulture is lucky to be alive. One of the others has no friends. The vulture is lucky to be alive. And what did the zebra say again?
My only friend starved to death.
My only friend starved again. Okay, cool. Let's go down Leopard Tunnel.
Going down to the final one, this is like the first tunnel that you pop the flamethrower on. The burst initially reveals a tunnel that you don't kind of see the end to. The flame slowly kind of rolls down the tunnel. This one kind of prevents your being able to walk in there a little bit longer, as this tunnel is a little bit further away. But eventually you can start to head in safely. Looking to see, all of the stonework seems to be the same. Doesn't seem to be anything that jumps out at you as potential traps. And eventually rounding the corner and looking to your right this time, you see again a little piece of wood, oval, like framing. And with light applied to the stonework, you can see that there's cuneiform there. And eventually taking the time to translate it, I ate one of the boar's friends.
Okay, so the leopard ate the zebra because leopard had to have ate the zebra, so that narrows him off.
Yeah, because so when the zebra says my only friend starved to death, not talking about the vulture because the vulture's lucky to be alive, it's not dead. The lion, the vulture is not talking about the zebra or the boar. No, or the
Zebra,
yes,
the
both.
vulture's got to be talking about the boar because the leopard ate the boar's friend.
But the vulture said one of the others has no friends. So the lion ate one of the boar's friend. The boar has a friend. The uh, zebra has a friend, and presumably, if the vulture's not talking about itself, that only leaves the lion. The lion is the one without any friends, and it ate one of the other's friends.
So, just clarification: the leopard said one of the boar's friends, not friend.
I heard, yeah, I ate one of the boar's friends.
Yeah, I'm asking Mara for the literal translation. Because if the boar only has one friend and the leopard ate the zebra, then the boar has no friends.
Roll a wisdom check.
That's a 20.
That is your translation. I ate one of the boar's friends.
Okay, then yeah, you're right. It's got to be the leopard.
And then there was the writing that said it's better to be Wongo's friend than his enemy. The lion has no friends. That would seem maybe the lion is its enemy. Or then it says Wongo's friend knows where to pour the water. Which one? Essentially, I guess we trying to figure out which one of these is the monkey's friend. So it can't be the lion if the lion has no friends. Um,
The boar obviously does not like the vulture because the boar said the vulture is lucky to be alive. The zebra is dead. But then again, did that wooden plaque back behind the Wongo statue have anything on it?
I think that had a basically like a recitation of the myth of like Wongo fighting the snake. I think that was all that had.
It's a mural of tiles showing the picture of Wongo kind of grappling with the snake, and then the text above and below it is kind of a recanting of their myth.
Okay, so do we have to pour the water into one of these things' heads, or do we pour it onto his hands and feet?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because from what I recall, the faces of these animals were kind of like painted on. So I don't know if we saw any like openings, like if to pour the water like into like or onto these creatures. Initially, I was thinking we would have to pour the water into like the monkey's hands, but now I'm not sure about that.
Zaps hasn't been into the main room yet, so can Zaps wander into the main room and make an investigation check, looking for buttons, water sources, stuff like that?
Investigation, like that's going to be a perception check. As far as investigation, that is usually trying to like puzzle together information that you have. So investigation tends to be like making sense of what you see. So like if you find like a trap and you see like signs where there's like grouting missing, the investigation check starts to bring you towards like disarming a trap, like making a realization of what is before you. So you can go in there and do an investigation based on like what you can see. If you're looking for stuff that it's unseen, it's still perception.
All right, cool. I'll just make a straight perception check then.
And you're looking around for like buttons and hidden switches effectively.
Yeah, basically anything that would trigger the actual puzzle cube coming out, assuming Jarek has told me about those puzzle cubes at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to hold on. I have a thing for this. Yeah, +3 is not going to help me find anything. I'm going to save that for later.
Yeah, looking around inside of this room, it is pretty austere. It has the monkey as the center. I believe this was like a 15-foot tall statue inside of about a 30-foot tall room. The stonework around this room seems to be all that same kind of gray stone. The back mural on the back wall is done with like almost ceramic tiles and kind of tiled into this mosaic. The creatures' faces mounted on the wall all kind of face Wongo in the center, and each one resembles kind of a trophy kind of hung up on the wall, where it's kind of a bust of this creature coming out of a little kind of wooden frame that's mounted to these walls, and the creature just kind of looks forward towards Wongo. Wongo is that same 15-foot statue. All of its hands are kind of cupped into a kind of receptive like form, and Wongo himself kind of sits on his tail, kind of just like springing, almost meditative.
Okay, so putting together all these, one of the others has no friends. My only friend starved to death. The vulture's lucky to be alive. I ate one of the boar's friends. What I've got is, I think, so the lion has no friends. That's who the vulture's talking about. The zebra's only friend would be the boar. That can't be the lion because the lion has no friends. That can't be the vulture because the vulture's alive. So zebra's only friend would be the boar. Um, which means probably the lion ate the zebra.
My only friend starved to death. That could also mean the vulture if the vulture didn't want to eat the pickings of the zebra after the leopard killed it.
But I'm thinking if the zebra says my only friend starved to death, and the boar says the vulture is lucky to be alive, then the zebra's only friend can't be the vulture because the vulture's alive.
Yeah, okay, so the lion has no friends, the zebra's dead, so it's between the boar and the vulture. I'm leaning towards boar more than anything.
Well, so I think the boar is dead because the boar is the zebra's only friend.
Right. So the vulture would be it.
I mean, so we have the vultures alive. We think the vulture is alive based on this riddle, and the lion is alive. But the lion has no friends, so he can't be Wongo's friend.
The boar
Um,
starved to death, and then the lion, and then the zebra is dead.
Right. So it seems like the vulture is the only one who's alive to be Wongo's friend.
Correct.
So Mara, these like the frames on the back of the uh, walls at the ends of the hallways, do they look like? Did we see anything that like are they actual like apertures, or are they just kind of you just see the frame against like the stone with the writing?
I think you would see that they're through to something else. I don't think you have any reason to see that they're open. I don't know how to answer that because I think if there's darkness in Wongo's room when you approach one of these wooden frames, you're just going to see darkness. You're not seeing stone. So I think that might be the one kind of big clue there is that it is like a wood frame into something with depth. That's not the stonework. But I don't think you necessarily have a real clue at present as to what they are, other than they seem to be on some way, yes, an aperture.
Okay, so Harrison suggests maybe if I walk, back down that hallway behind the vulture with the torch, and Zaps, if you kind of stand in that main room on the other side of it, and maybe we can see if, like, if I call out, if you can hear me, or if you can see anything on the other side through.
I was actually going to go the exact opposite with it. You stay here with the torch, and I go back into the other room and look through that screen because I don't have a light source, I don't think.
I mean, I could, if we wanted to have an extra torch, either I could give you one, or we could also have like Island or Taryn standing in there with you like Taryn could have his light, the rings out with the light to give you some light. But yeah, if you think it'd be better to have you on this side, yeah. I think it doesn't matter which side. I think one of us is on, but I think we have the same idea. So
Yeah, you go ahead, you look through it, and me and the Terran guy will stay here with the light. And I actually do have torches in my inventory, so if we need a torch, I can light one up.
So I think I've got your miniatures positioned there. What are you thinking at present?
So I think like Jarek's gonna kind of like walk up to the edge, kind of looking inside, and he doesn't know how thick these walls are, but he's essentially gonna try and like first thing he's gonna like call out and see if like Zaps and the others can hear him on the other side, like which might suggest that there's an opening allowing the sound to get through rather than just like a solid surface between them.
Gotcha. So assuming the others are in, like you basically sent the others to that same room, you're going to go off to that corner and try to holler through.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like just basically like, can you hear me kind of thing.
Yeah, I think just from that corner, if you're just kind of speaking, they can probably hear a little bit of kind of murmuring. If you raise your voice, it becomes clear that like somebody's voice is there. And if you yell at kind of your peak volume, they can more or less hear what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah, so we kind of like playing that, I like kind of start talking like a normal voice and then raise it until it became clear for them to hear. Okay, so could just be that the walls are very thin, but could be that there's something that's allowing the sound to get through. Um, he's gonna kind of, I think at that point he'll like, he's gonna hold the torch like kind of closer, trying not to set the wood alight, but he just wants to know, like, kind of shouting into like if they can they see any of the light, like, or any shadows being cast, like when he holds the torch up to like the edge of this on this side.
Roll a perception from Zeps. I think, yeah, kind of holding a torch up to the center, you can see. Think birds have noses at the back of their beaks, so maybe you can kind of see like a little bit of light kind of coming through from this thing's beaks, or this thing's beak. Um, and I think eyes. I think you'll see that it's almost like has kind of anatomical passageways for like its nose and its eyes kind of thing.
Seeing that, Zaps is going to yell out,
Yeah. Look through its eyes.
So Jarek will, hearing that, he's going to help, take the torch back, kind of holding it, to the side, kind of at his side, and he will at that point, kind of like taking a deep breath, and then move to try and do that. Essentially, try and like put his head through the frame and see if he can see anything.
Gotcha. So looking through, you see the others inside of the room with Wongo. You can see the zebra, you can see the boar, and you can see probably like some of the lion's mane. I don't think this picture is like a perfect representation of it. I think the boar and the zebra would be much closer to like where Eku and Taryn kind of sit. But you see that familiar room in front of you. Assuming that, I think part of the point was that they are all in there, like fully lighting up that room at present. You see everything that you would kind of expect. But the moment you look in there, you are also going to see that there is a ray of blue light that comes down from the ceiling, and it touches the left hand of Wongo.
So Jarek is going to relay that's what he sees. He's like, "Do you?" And then he's gonna actually like call out, like, "Can you see that?" And he'll try to like, and he'll say, like, "Do you see like the ray of light touching the Wongo's left hand?" Trying to see if it's something about the way he's looking, if it's just like visible to him because of his vantage point, or if the others can see it, just to confirm.
I'm going to assume that's a no on Zap's part, that he can't see that at all.
Yeah, the blue light is just while he's looking through that mask.
No, I don't see anything, but there's a blue beam going into his left hand. And this translates to Wongo's friend knows where to put the water. Blue beam into his left hand? Pretty fair chance that means that's where the water goes. I'm willing to give it a shot.
Jarek's gonna um, kind of shout back, "Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Um, hold on a moment. I'll join you." And he's going to move to take his head back out and move to essentially move back into the central room with the monkey statue, with the rejoin the others. Or actually, he'll call by like, or do you think I should stay here to the others? Uh,
No, I would definitely come back in here just in case.
yeah. So Jarek will, yeah, he will move to get his head out and come back into the main room.
All right, do you want to pour it or you want me to pour it? Pick your poison.
Well, I think you solved the last bit. If you want to try it, otherwise I can. I'll give you first crack.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
And Zap's going to walk forward and take his water skin and dump it into Wongo's left hand.
Pretty much going for like a full water skin here.
Yeah, and enough to fill the hand, to kind of do what we need to do. If I need to get more, I'll get more. And I am going to do it kind of slowly, to where if there is some kind of action or something in this that it's going to start to drop, that I'll notice.
Alrighty. 11. When you start to pour water into Wango's left hand, there is not going to be any immediate reaction. As you're just kind of slowly pouring water into this hand, water is still kind of trickling down. It's not like a perfect cup shape that it's maintaining the water. But as you kind of like pour, maybe increasing a little bit, maybe not, you just have this kind of few moments where you're just kind of pouring out a little bit more water, a little bit more, and just kind of continuing with this slow, like studied look over everything to try to see if something is going to change. You are going to notice in kind of an instance, kind of a trick of your eye, you're not really sure which it kind of sits as a cube is going to appear on top of Wango's statue. In the moment that you notice this, Zaps is going to hear. It's one of those things. I don't like to like separate people, so play this as it is because this is kind of a funny moment of almost player versus player. You are going to hear as something says to you, "Take the prize and curse your friends or fight my children to claim it. What is your choice?" But otherwise, everybody else is seeing the same cube show up on top of Wongo, hearing nothing.
I know exactly what I'm going to do with this, and I'm just going to say this more for Justin. One of Zaps's things, and always has been, is he is loyal to a fucking fault. You could give him a cookie, and he'd knife a motherfucker for trying to mess with you. So as Zaps hears that, he's going to go, "You monkey motherfucker! I'm not betraying my friends. Bring it on!" And he's going to pull his staff out.
Gotcha. Jarek, what do you think you're doing the moment you see the cube?
So Jarek, as he sees that, he's gonna like kind of look to turn to Zaps, like it worked, and then like I feel like as
And
he's
you'll
turning
see him reacting about that time. What do you think Taryn or Island would do? Taryn has collected, I believe, all three of the three you guys have found.
Yeah, I
Do you
feel like
think he's going
Taryn.
to rush for it? Do you think he's going to go for it?
Yeah, I feel like, and Taryn's a good climber, so I feel like he'd almost be like start like as like he'd almost be going to start to like scramble up to claim it when he sees it.
I kind of agree there. And what do you think Island would do?
I feel like Island has tried to be more. He's been more like the kind of like the passive observer a little bit, like while this is like he helping to
I
translate and
feel the
stuff.
same
But
way. I don't think he's moving forward in the least bit. So I think what you kind of have going on here is, and again, Eku is very passive and very like far more thoughtful about how to go about things. I think it makes sense. Taryn is pretty much up at the cube, like reaching out for it as Zap says this. I think Taryn is wise enough to, as soon as he hears this, assuming that you guys have not solved this puzzle. So when you hold off on a moment, if Jarek's looking over at Zaps to see what is going to happen, I believe the next thing that is going to happen is where's the curses? Fuck. Um. Oh, Zaps. While you are looking over at Jarek, Jarek is going to change into something entirely other. Jarek, while you are looking over at Zaps, preparing to say something to him, you're about to start squawking like a bird.
I'll leave that to your imagination rather than trying to make the sounds of a squawk bird.
Yep, Jarek is about to get turned into a vulture. I believe you maintain your intelligence, but I don't think you can speak. So you are still aware that you are Jarek. You're going to very quickly start to hear squawking when you go to speak and recognize that you no longer have language. Um, I think you'll pretty quickly start to connect with like a little bit of your movement sounds like nails like clicking and clacking against the stonework as you now have like five long clawed legs, or not five long clawed legs, two long clawed legs with five claws, as well as that you now have wings. Taryn's going to notice this from up above. Eku's going to notice this from right by you, and Zaps and you are kind of looking at each other as this happens. In that same moment, you all are also going to hear as there is a kind of sliding sound. For those who have been into the Yuan-Ti temple, I think you can kind of pick up this is like metal against everybody should be able to understand this is metal against stone, like the kind of sharpening sound of somebody sharpening like a weapon against a whetstone. So you kind of hear this like, and then a big solid thunk. What is everybody doing in this moment?
Zap's hearing the fact that basically, he's going to have to fight whoever this guy's children are because he refused to curse his friends. I'm going to. Can I ready like a cantrip or something and just be ready for whatever's about to happen? Whatever enemy's about to pop up.
100%. So your initial thought is now that enemies are coming.
And while I'm doing this, I am going to shout out and be like, hey, get ready. Shit's about to go down. Or actually, I'll do that instead of readying my cantrip because I'm sure I can't do both.
Gotcha.
I want to make it very clear what I heard and that there's going to be a fight.
Your 6 seconds of speech can still fall into the free action. That's really where where speaking falls into. It's meant to be your free action. So as far as readying your cantrip for effectively like a monkey threat, I don't think there's a problem there. The big thing about the action economy tends to be like speaking and doing other things. Jarek, I want to look up polymorph for a second because I think your sword will warn you. You just don't have anything you can do about it.
Yeah, I think normally the items get like absorbed into you or something.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. It's basically I don't feel like there would be anything that would decouple you from your sword.
Though there may be a question about whether I can actually use them while, like, I don't lose, like, they don't fall to the ground. But I don't know if like the effects.
Your mental abilities are replaced by the statistics of the beast. So you actually are basically becoming a vulture.
Okay, so I was actually going to ask. Like, I probably can't understand what at that point, if I'm essentially a vulture, I can't understand what Zaps is saying. I would assume.
Yeah, I don't even have a normal vulture in my quick things to give you stats, but I'm about to just drop the giant vulture in there. Actually, you know what? Maybe this is a good time for us to actually take a break, and I can actually prepare the vulture for you. And we'll come back to this. I feel like that sounds good. Come back at 5 o'clock or at the hour.
Yeah, and maybe if Island's able to, if
Oh yeah,
he's like,
perfect. Yeah, that would
probably at
be.
5, then maybe we can, or maybe just like
How
if we
about?
ping him and
Yeah, I'm gonna ping him. Let's go on break. I think we're assuming. Damn, I don't want to go on break right before he arrives. If he's gonna be late. Let me ping him, and we'll kind of move forward with at least the initial combat starting. Regardless, let's take a break here and hope he comes on time.
sure. And I also I've got the PHB, which I think the vulture's in there, and like the beast appendix, so I can get the stats too that way.
Well, the other thing is inside of D&D Beyond, I think if you go to extras, you can actually add a form and basically choose yeah, I think it's Beast Companion and Vulture gives you like the best way to look up a vulture inside of Roll20 or inside of Beyond 20 rather. Inside of D&D Beyond.
I think someone just said they were here.
Oh, that's even better.
Oh, wait, never mind. I don't see anybody else besides us. I'm losing it.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, I still want to ping him. I see him green now at least.
Yeah, maybe he's getting ready to jump in. We did say around 5. He thought he'd be available.
All right, so I sent him that ping. Did you look up on extras, Justin? Otherwise, I'm about to just add it for you.
I didn't see an extra. I'm not super familiar with all of this stuff on D&D Beyond.
Gotcha. So if you reload your character, just reload D&D Beyond, and then where you have like actions, inventory, features, and traits, go all the way to the right with extras, and you should see the Beast Companion Vulture now. I think that's everything that you need. That you're basically AC 13, hit points 5, and you have a flying speed of 50. Yeah, and if you click on further, it gives you a little bit more of the actual Vulture's stats.
Yep, and it's got, I think, attack, action, beak stuff. Yep. Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, so that gives us that. I'm gonna take a quick little break here. Hopefully we get Larry back at that same time, because this is gonna start like the actual first bit of combat.
Yay, first combat back. I'm ready.
I'm back.
Same.
And for what it's worth, Jarek would have made the same decision that Zaps did in terms of that offer.
Yeah. I've actually played this guy before in a different campaign, and I'm really glad I got to bring him into this one because he's one of my favorites. That I think you'll get a chance to see here. He can do some work when he needs to.
Yeah, Jarek's usually pretty good in a fight. We'll have to see what he can do as a vulture.
Yeah, I'm gonna, without metagaming too much, I'm gonna try to make some kind of check to see if I can get you the fuck out of that form because I'm kind of squishy. I need some backup. I can put out the hurt, but I'm not real great at taking it.
I'm just trying to figure out if we if we solve the riddle correctly and this happened regardless, or if we missed something and this is the consequence. But it sounds like we solved it.
Yeah, I think we definitely did solve it correctly because I don't know if the cube would have appeared at all if we hadn't.
Yeah, yeah.
And this fits the whole trickster thing, Hey, you guys did it, but here's the twist.
That is the best kind of things that I hope I never accidentally spoil, because I'd love to talk about the game, but I feel like that's the perfect thing to never tell you the answer to.
Exactly. Like, hey, you guys might have fucked up, you might not have fucked up. I guess you'll never know.
So there's not a good solution to really delaying or moving forward at present. I think what's probably best is to maybe continue talking about what we think Taryn might do, and then basically get everybody inside of initiative so we're at least kind of moving forward. And maybe I'll roll for Island, and I will play him in the same way we're playing Taryn right now until we actually have Larry, and he could re-roll initiative. I think that might be the best way to kind of keep it moving forward.
Yeah, that works for me.
So Taryn is still on top of the statue, kind of like in that process of reaching out. He heard Zaps kind of cursing the voice in his head. And here's the warning from Zaps that there's kind of more danger. And Jarek and everybody's probably kind of starting to recognize that there is some sort of vulture here instead of the previously Jarek. What do you think Taryn's reaction? Potentially more towards what's happening with Jarek than the warning, but I do think, it's also Taryn's not the person who's going to immediately think, I'm the one who can solve Jarek's problem. So what do you think he's doing?
Yeah, I think Taryn is still. I mean, I think he's just focused on still grabbing the cube.
Gotcha. All right, so we'll have him kind of going for the cube at present. I think that's enough then to say we know what the three of you are doing. Island getting the warning. What do you think Island's doing?
I think he would probably move to back away a bit from maybe from the door. And
From the
probably
door,
moving.
like towards that corner?
Yeah, I feel like he's not much. He doesn't tend to be like a frontline fighting cleric too much. I mean, I think he just may probably instinctively probably try to bring his mace out, but otherwise, yeah, just kind of backing up a bit and looking towards the door to see what comes out.
All
I
right,
don't know if
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, looking through his spells, he doesn't really have spells that are like, hey, shit's about to go down, I'm gonna do this. So
and I don't know if he typically casts bless or anything, or if he has it even.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he does not have bless. I was gonna say I would cast bless with him, but I don't think I've ever seen him do it like exactly like that, because it was like I want to cast bless with him, but I don't know if he carries that. Really, his only preparation would be Shield of Faith. Um, and I'm not sure if he would react to you getting turned, where he's gonna shield Jarek. I don't know if he would shield himself. If he would shield Taryn, I don't know if I've ever seen him use Shield of Faith. That might be new.
Yeah, and I feel like he'd be and like at least immediately he wouldn't be thinking to shield Jarek because it's Jarek is the vulture, but you don't know exactly, like, is he still like on our side? Is he like it's like going to attack now that he's been turned, so I probably feel like he wouldn't immediately go to cast that on Jarek. Not sure if he's still like an ally or something like that.
So I think the order of these things happening. Hmm, I might have gone too far by giving you guys even that round to kind of determine. I'm not sure if you guys really surprise these or if it's just all happening at once. I think it makes more sense if this is actually happening at once. I feel. Yeah, my bad on that. I think this is all going to happen at once. Um, when you guys see, I think it was Taryn reaching for the box that triggered Jarek turning into the bird, and you guys hearing that sound. My apologies there, because I think the moment Zaps says, I'm not going to do that, I think that's actually the determining moment where kind of things happen. You guys are going to all see as kind of out of the thin air of the roof, there are going to be four of these creatures that leap down into this room. Okay. Bam. And then let's go for initiatives here from the two of you. And then we got Island. Got Taryn. How does that even happen that I roll the exact same initiative order?
Yeah, especially because Taryn's got a +4, man.
I hate having Eku as a part of the story. But
Gotta love a DMPC, man.
I've turned Eku into like a chronic sleeper just by completely ignoring talking about her for entire sections. It always kind of makes me chuckle where nobody's like, what was Eku up to?
Eku better be throwing hands in the middle of this.
Like, she was just kind of standing around in the corner, playing with some fresh herbs, rolling up a joint. Alrighty, so we got... Okay, so these creatures are going to lead this off.
And looks like Larry might be in shortly. Yep.
Excellent. What's up, Larry?
You guys.
Just in time, Larry.
Sorry about
So
that.
we are jumping into things. If I can start you off with a slightly more surprised of, would you like to roll initiative for yourself as soon as you are ready? And then I'll kind of go into explaining what's happening.
Did you ask me to roll initiative?
Yes, please. So we're still inside of the Temple of Wongo. What has kind of played out here is in the process of you all deciding to go check like the spider webbed corridors. When you go to leave the central room around the monkey statue of Wongo, you saw some letters that talked about basically, I think one of his friends knows which hand to pour the water into, is kind of what it said. With that, Jarek had kind of new information when he was leaving. Excellent, 15. When he was leaving the temple. That's where you all kind of saw this shaky little figure who was outside, kind of like fiddling with things, and you all were introduced to Zaps, which is played by Chase at the top of the Discord group here.
What's up, Chase?
And Chase, Larry, playing Island.
Nice to meet you, man. Hope you're ready for it.
And by the way, I said Island there. It's definitely Island, no D.
Yeah, well, what are all the upside down bats?
So as you all kind of continued forward here, meeting up with this new little figure, this kobold who's kind of playing with a whole bunch of things, Jarek started to burn away some of the spider webs, and up with a special little tool for the job, your little friend basically makes like an explosion of fire. You guys have like a huge kind of like explosion inside of each temple, clearing out all of the spider webs and kind of showing you these hallways. As they ventured into the hallways, each one had another message written in the cuneiform that was visible when you all were like at the end of the corridor with some light. And they figured out that the riddle at least seemed to point to the Vulture as the friend of Wongo. I think offhand, the Vulture said one of these others doesn't have any friends. The Zebra said my friend starved to death. And the Boar said the Vulture was lucky to be alive. And the Lion, I don't remember what the Lion said.
I ate one
ate
of the boar's friends.
Gotcha. I ate one of the Boar's friends. So you kind of had that clue. They all went for it, and eventually, looking in through this kind of edifice, Jarek was able to see through and see that there was kind of like a blue light that was not visible to the others inside that pointed to the left hand. When Zaps poured water into said left hand of Wongo, it eventually filled up. The cube showed up. Taryn started making way for the cube. Jarek kind of like looked over to Zaps as Zaps yelled out something to the effect of, "Screw you, you crazy monkey. I'm not screwing over my friends." And you kind of looked up to see in the moment that Taryn touches the cube, 4 apes like are already mid leap out of the air towards the top of this monkey, and we are at the start of combat.
Also, when Jarek looked through the vulture, there was a blue beam of light that went down into the left hand, which was kind of our, hey, that's the water hand.
Got it.
Oh, and Jarek has been transformed into a vulture.
Oh yes, in the
Oh, hey.
present moment, Jarek is a bird.
Fun
Yep.
for you.
I changed the picture on the bottom there to a vulture, but I don't know how to change it on the thing. I'd have to delete it, I think, and add him back.
Oh, like your actual character token?
Yeah.
I was actually grabbing the vulture for you, and I feel like I just got distracted.
I just went and grabbed. I think this is like I just searched like vulture thing, and that works.
I can let you move it to in 1 second here.
Well, I feel like
Theoretically, you should. Oh,
Sorry, go
that's one
ahead.
of my vultures. Theoretically, you should be able to move that now.
Yeah, I don't know the one the picture I look like. I search for vulture, but it almost looks like a demented turkey more with like the but.
Vulture Scavenger 2 by Devin.
Vultures look like demented turkeys to me in real life.
Yeah, definitely. So we have in this kind of moment where these things are appearing, one of them is going to be leaping down and going after. Right, nice. Got it right there already. One of these creatures is going to be leaping down, and it is going to bite out and swipe at Eku. The bite's going to fail as it slashes into her with its claws. It's going to deal. Yeah, it's going to deal 10 damage to her, and we're going to have that go to Island.
I'm next.
Yes, sir.
What's the condition like of my colleagues here? What do I see on people? Bloodied? Fine.
Without putting into an actual test, I believe everybody is well over 50%, and you see everybody looks perfectly fine.
Okay. All right, I'm going to attack the monkey that attacked Echo.
Gotcha. So the one that is just to the north of her.
Yeah, I'm going to cast a spiritual weapon and sacred flame.
Spiritual weapon is going to miss. Sacred flame is going to burn down into the creature's flesh.
Do we get the one just north of her? Is that what we did?
That is correct.
Move the
After
spiritual
you, it
weapon.
could move over to Jarek.
So as a vulture, I would assume like I don't have the intelligence. Like I don't retain. Do I know like these are my friends here? And I guess I presume like a vulture would probably go after the weakest target just as on instinct. So or the smallest at least. So I feel like it'll probably go swooping in and trying to peck at maybe the same one that Island's attacking.
Yeah, so you retain your alignment and personality. I think that's enough to say you at least have like a sense of still like liking these people. It may not be like a friendship level of understanding. I think the intelligence of the vulture was a 2, which is probably the most most difficult thing to really try to figure out how to play out. is that you are not intelligent.
Yeah, but it's got decent wisdom, so maybe just like instinctively it's thinking like, okay, these are the ones that are trying to hurt. These are enemies, even if it doesn't know
Well,
why.
that's where I think the difficulty might come into of they are wise survival creatures because they are scavengers. They don't necessarily go in there to fight.
Yeah. I feel like maybe it would like kind of it's probably before it would like fly up towards, you said they're about 20-foot ceiling, so it would kind of like fly up and then maybe try and drop down and slash with its beak at the one above Eku.
Gotcha. You can roll for that attack.
And I would have pack tactics, but I don't know if we consider them as like allies currently of the Vulture.
It doesn't have to be your ally. I think as far as pack tactics says, oh yeah, wait, it's not the same way. I think it
Yeah,
needs
it's
to
at
be
least
an
one
ally.
of the Vulture's allies within 5 feet.
Yeah. Regardless of how we decide on that at present, you do hit with that attack. It's going to stab into that creature. I think for what it's worth, you with the pack tactics are able to take advantage of them as allies, in that you're at least wise enough to like watch for the like burning light of Island, to like that's your chance to dive in and peck at it.
God, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so he'll stay kind of like hovering, flapping above the creature, just move it there for now, but essentially it's on top of it, just above it.
Hey, Mara, we're also going to need a token for the cannon. I forgot about that.
Do you have a picture in mind for it?
No, just generic, whatever works. Just something where I can show you where it's positioned for use and stuff like that.
Let me give it to you as that. You've got a cannon counter. You can drop a picture into it, but it is under allies. Alrighty. The next of these creatures dropping out of the sky is going to bite out at. This is going to be the cannon attack, and then it's going to slash at it.
Okay, cannon's got an AC of 18.
I can't figure out how to turn off my alarm. 1 second. So the first attack is going to slash out at it to be a big ol' whiff. The second one, as well, as it reaches out with all of its claws, is going to whiff. I think I missed one more. Is after Jarek. No, one more is before Jarek. And that one is going to dive down at Taryn, biting out at him, clawing out at him. His AC, I think, is below 18. I think that's a hit. Yeah, 15. So it's going to bite down into him and deal 3 damage. You guys think there was a reason Taryn was missing 10 hit points from last week? I guess, yeah, you were kind of running around doing things.
Fighting the crocodiles, like Jarek was at. I don't know. He's missing some. I think yeah.
Gotcha.
I
But
healed
you're
him up.
above.
Outside.
You're above half,
above
though,
half.
for that. Okay, yeah.
I healed
Yeah,
you
so
up, but not Taryn.
I think that puts us back in order where that Aku is actually a island roll. Yeah, she's way at the top. Taryn, what do you guys think Taryn is going to be doing?
He's going to attack the same one that we attacked, I think.
I think he'll bonus action summon the blades, and then
He doesn't have to summon them for this.
Would he move over to get some flanking? Like,
It
can he
doesn't
be in the
exist.
same square as the... Okay.
He can move into the square of them, but I don't think he can stay. I think small and medium clash with each other. He can move through it easier, but
I was thinking he just might move where the spiritual weapon is, so that he's...
spiritual weapon he can.
Yeah.
But that provokes its opportunity attacks. Unless he's going to disengage, I don't think he has a reason to.
Yeah, no. I'm overthinking it.
So 1 main hand attack. That one will do 17. 1 offhand attack. That one... I didn't roll a single. Oh, because of my alt button? Bam. And then the offhand attack is going to hit for another 8. So 17, 20, 27. No, that's bad math. 25. Yeah, I think with that first hit, he's just going to stab one of his karambits into the creature's kind of back, like right around its shoulder blade. And as he kind of yanks back, open up, like one of its arms is just going to start to fall limp. And then with his second blade, he will be able to kind of put it just along the spinal cord, and with a quick little tug and an instant, that creature is going to fall limp off of the top of this creature down to the ground and slam with a thud into the stonework. That's going to take us 2 zaps.
Okie dokie. The one that is immediately to the northwest of me is the one I'm going to be going after.
Gotcha.
And I am going to... I've already got my little staff, arcane firearm thing pulled out. I'm going to cast Firebolt through it directly at that. And I get to roll an extra D8 for that. I don't know how to make it do that.
Just roll a d8.
Yep.
If there's one for D&D Beyond, it's going to be under that like extra ability where you need both abilities.
All right, so that is an 18 to hit. Does that hit?
What happens when you cast a spell through this weapon?
It basically... So it's worded weird.
No, this is far more. What happens like when you describe what you're doing? because artificers use spells, but you don't cast like magic. You're manipulating very physical, mundane things to make these very magical things happen.
Oh, basically, I told you I kind of have this carved almost like a crossbow rifle combo. As I'm casting this spell, the sigils that are carved into the side of it light up bright red, and you see smoke coming out of this thing. And as the sigils glow from the back to the front, the firebolt shoots out of it towards that creature.
So you've got that for the spell work. Solid hit. Definitely slams into the creature with this bolt of fire. What is your cannon doing?
Okay, so I'm going to tell the cannon and it can move up to 15 feet. So I'm going to move it up here, kind of beside Echo. And I want it to fire towards this top right hand corner. Is that going to clip uh, Taryn if I do that?
You can certainly try.
Okay, yeah. And then I just want him to
All
use
of those
his-
creatures are above your cannon. Like your cannon's on the ground. It's well above you.
Okay, then yeah, they have to make a DC 14 dexterity saving throw. Or take 2d8. Hold on, give me just a second. Yep, so they got to make the DC 14 or take 6 damage. Comes out in a 15-foot cone. Which, if they're up above everybody, I kind of want to change where I move
Continue.
him.
Yeah, go for it.
I just kind of want to move him here and try to clip all 3 of them pointing up at it, and it's in a 15-foot cone. Yeah, that's it. So they take half damage if they save.
Yeah, I think you can take that shot from in just the position where you think you'll get to them. Between the statue and actually watching this happening, you're going to see that this is very much at the max range of that weapon to take a shot, how high they are. Next time, or perhaps in the future, you can also crawl up with the cannon, but like that vertical space is going to take up some of the distance. I think let me get a D100 from Jarek or Island, and let's see how close Taryn is to that actual area. So, Taryn is well out of the way, striking into the other creature as this kind of burst of flame is going to come. 2 of the creatures are going to get severely burned. Is that save or suck?
No, half damage on a save. So they'd take, well, that's 3 rounded down, so 2. Or, well, 6 divided by 2 is just 3.
And any other movement from Zaps?
No, I think I'm good where I'm at.
Yeah, so as those attacks kind of land into the monkey immediately in front of Zaps, you are going to be kind of like repelling those few. The one that is closest to you is most certainly burned almost entirely over its body. At this point is very much in dire straits and is fatally wounded at present. The other 2 seemingly singed by the fire, but are not necessarily so heavily wounded at this point. And we're gonna go to the creature south of Taryn. It's going to be going after leaping off for Island from the other side. It is going to bite and then claw. The claws are going to wrench at you for 15 slashing damage. And we will return to... Yeah, really not going to do anything with Eku. It's going to another one of these creatures. This one... is going to step away from Zaps. Do you have a melee weapon in your hand?
Yeah, I've got the quarterstaff.
Do you want to take a quarterstaff attack at this creature as it steps away from?
Yeah, sure. I'll take a swipe at it.
Gotcha. And it is going to leap over to the vulture.
So is he within 5 feet of an ally as well?
I mean, the 21 doesn't matter. It's a hit with the 14.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I would.
Does Zaps carry a shield?
No, he doesn't. Like I said, I have this thing carved to where it almost looks like a crossbow or a rifle. So when this thing takes off, I'd pretty much just flip it over or like grab it by the stock and swing out at him like a baseball bat.
Yeah, so that creature is going to leap across the statue and just kind of like fall into the wings of Jarek. As he's kind of on that other side, and I think we'll be at Island.
All right, so spiritual weapon attack on the one that's all up on me.
Gotcha. And what are you thinking for your action?
Another spell that isn't spiritual weapon. I think I'm gonna cast a guiding bolt on him.
Gotcha. Roll for that. Yeah, so as you cast this guiding bolt and bring down the spiritual weapon, this creature that's kind of leaping off at you as it rakes at you with its claws is going to get blasted off of the statue of Wongo. And as its body kind of plummets to the ground, it's just going to hit with a dull thud. And what is the next one? We got Vulture Jarek.
So I think the vulture is this. Okay, I was just about to, because I think the vulture, now that there's some food carrion in front of it, I think it was like it'll like its wing. You'll see it's like wings like furl and like it squawk loudly as the one monkey essentially gets knocked down out of the ground by Zaps as it's leaping over at it. And it kind of is like looking to, you know, peck at the one up above it as Island brings it down. So I think it's actually just gonna go like try and grab the carcass of the monkey right beside it and try to drag it off. I feel like instinctively that's what a vulture would do. Now that there's not like any enemies immediately in its vicinity.
Gotcha. So as you start to drag that away, this last one of the living monkeys from on top of Wongo is going to kind of drop over onto its tail as it bites out 4 zaps. And that will hit, dealing 6 piercing damage, and it's going to claw for you as well with a big old miss on that one.
Did we lose a monkey?
2 are on top of each other. Zaps
Okay.
killed one of them when it leapt over at Jarek.
Got it.
You
Thanks.
killed the one. I think you've killed 2 of them, kind of right beside Taryn.
Yeah, I thought there were 4, so sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, you're good. And then this one leaping out at him, it's gonna go for Taryn. He's doing the same old thing, slashing at it, and that'll go to Zaps. Theoretically, I think Taryn can kill it, but just in case. Yeah, Taryn's just going to leave it. Oh yeah, it's already got damage. Yeah, so he'll be able to kill it. But regardless, you guys can clean up these monkeys. Taryn has the cube. What are you all thinking?
Seeing that all the monkeys are dead now, and seeing that Jarek had turned into a bird, Zap's gonna run over and try to see if he can figure out a way to turn him back, basically.
Make an Arcana check.
Can I help with that in some way?
You could make an Arcana check. You could do medicine. Potentially do religion.
I'll do Arcana.
I'm gonna burn one of my flashes of genius and turn it
Ouch.
into a 12.
I was stumped.
So that 9 turned into a 12.
And I think as Zaps is approaching, you'll see like Jarek, the in the vulture form, is like chowing down on this monkey. So like he'll kind of like let out a warning squawk. Like he's not going to attack Zaps, but he's almost like its first instinct is like this thing's coming for my food. So it's like kind of giving a warning squawk, and it's wings kind of like fluttering. Yeah, because Jarek is kind of I haven't retained any of my abilities or anything, or intelligence, I should say.
I don't think either of you are going to fully understand the magic at work here. I think you can pick up that it's real change of what Jarek is into this creature. I think you can probably gather enough that it is indefinite, or that it has a definitive time, that it is not indefinite. But I don't think you have any reason to know a solution to this, nor enough about the spell that is at work to really understand what's happening.
Well, I'm gonna look at Island and pretty much say, let's just, like you said, we got a sense that this isn't a permanent thing. And then just tell him, let's try to wait it out and see if he turns back. And I'm gonna rip a chunk off one of the monkeys with a belt knife or something and just kind of lure Jarek towards me to make sure he doesn't run off.
All right. Island doesn't have any great ideas about. It doesn't seem like casting any of his prayers is going to help. So, yeah, try to make nice with the vulture. We have the cube, though.
Taryn indeed does have the cube.
And I think as long as like the others aren't being like aggressive towards it, and as long as there's food here, I think probably Vulture Jarek will be content to just start, um, keep eating.
I sort of suspect, Vulture Jarek, that you need to fly out of here to lose this effect. I'm going to try talking to Vulture Jarek and see if he can understand me.
I don't think any more than a trained bird would kind of understand. I think at this point, all you can kind of get is that this bird has a familiarity to you all. It's not explicitly like uncomfortable around you all, but he's also not smart enough to be like a trained bird. So there's something between like kind of like domesticated and trained is about all you're getting from him. He has no clue what you're saying when you guys are saying stuff.
And is he? Did all his stuff end up on the ground? Like, do we need to? I'm looking around to see if we need to bring his stuff out when we walk out.
Aside from the actual like carcasses of the monkeys at large, no, there's not stuff here to kind of be found.
So when you guys looked at the when you looked at the vulture, like something turned Jarek into a bird. Is that right?
So basically, what happened is, as soon as I poured the water in and the thing like kind of clicked, Indiana Jones did. Um, I got a message in my head that was like, "Hey, curse your friends and take the cube, or fight my kids," kind of thing, and take the cube. And my character is not the untrustworthy type. One of his biggest faults is loyalty. Like he is loyal to a fault. So he pretty much told the monkey to fuck off and bring it.
So it all kind of happened at the same time that everybody kind of heard Zaps yell off at this monkey. That it kind of grabbed everybody's attention. Taryn was basically already like ran up the actual statue to grab the cube as soon as you guys had seen it. His hesitancy was as soon as he heard this yell, knowing some of the other dangers, he paused for a moment. Jarek kind of looked to Zaps, and in that next moment when basically Zaps like started to warn them, Taryn grabbed out for the cube. Those monkeys leapt out of like bare space out of nowhere, and like tumbled down into this world. Um, but that moment when I think I left out the important part, when Jarek looked at Zaps to Zaps's warning, was like the moment, like when Zaps yelled out, rather, "No, monkey, I'm not going to do this." That's when Jarek was turned into a bird, and that's when you guys heard the sliding of like steel against stone.
And the steel against stone was related to
When you
what
guys
movement?
do actually go to walk out of this room, you're going to find that you're trapped inside. There
Got it.
are stone or steel portcullises that have dropped down on all the entryways.
All right, so we can't get out. We defeated the friends. We fought the friends, but we have to fix the curse. And I don't have remove curse prepped for today, but I could have it tomorrow.
Is there anything Eku could do to help?
Echo can do a lot of stuff if we ask her. Echo, can you remove a curse? I'm not ready. I didn't prepare.
What is it? Arcana's intelligence, right?
Yes.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Um.
Yeah.
What do you got? 5 hit points on your vulture?
Yep.
I think Eku. She's just not a bitch, and I think it would be hilarious if she did it. But I think she's just gonna tell one of you to kill the bird. I think she's just going to kind of like in passing, kind of like looking to him and almost like rolling her eyes. She's just going to look and kind of say, um, if the bird dies, your friend lives.
Okay, I have absolutely no reason to distrust Eku. I mean, literally, whenever they first met, she came over and pretty much comforted me, and she seems like a good person. So I'm going to point the cannon at the bird and just tell it to let loose.
So I think a dexterity saving throw from Jarek. And theoretically anybody who is comforting him. Solid Vulture stats right there.
Yeah, I'm assuming he doesn't have
and-
proficiency with any saving throws, so
I mean,
Nothing
even
would
on
matter
a
for the three.
save, you're taking 6.
Yeah, so
Island's like, whoa, but it's happened already. Making an
yeah,
effort.
you're going to take another 8 damage as the damage like falls over onto your form as Jarek. But as soon as the cannon blasts you, you're going to turn back into Jarek. You're probably going to see a reaction from Eku where she notices perhaps that could have been worded better. But Eku kind of like looks back and maybe with a little sigh like, that's one way to do it.
Seeing that Jarek got just slightly singed by what he did, Zaps is going to run over and be like, I am so sorry, I did not mean to. And he's going to cast Cure Wounds. Which will heal you for all of 4. Hey, wait. If I cast that through the gun, do I get an extra D8 on that?
No, I believe it specifically says an attack cantrip.
That's too bad because that'd be pretty funny.
It says use it as a spellcasting focus for my artificer spells through the fire. Whenever I cast through the firearm, to damage rolls.
Yeah,
Fuck.
damage rolls.
Damn it. Okay.
So you could do that to the undead and they would take damage, right?
Yeah, I mean anything he's doing like damage spells with, it works.
Hey Jarek, how's your meal?
So Jarek's gonna like come back to himself, and I'm not sure what's going on at first, and then kind of like look down, see that he's him again, but he's also slightly on fire, and gonna like go move to like pat out the some of the smoldering embers and stuff.
Were you eating ape at the time?
Yeah, the vulture was starting to pick at
I think you still have that in your mouth then.
Yeah, so you'll see like this really weird look come over Jarek's face, and he'll spit it out and just look and just like keep. I think he'll probably actually maybe he'll do a Constitution saving throw to see if he just like vomits up like what he's been eating.
Ah,
think
you're
you
a
should do that.
seasoned warrior.
You should do that with advantage though, because vultures eat eyeballs first, I think.
Hit advantage because he would have went for the eyeballs.
He totally would have been eating eyeballs. That's what vultures do. It's the soft
You
part.
come back and you feel just like a squishy pop as your teeth kind of clamp down on an eyeball.
Sweet.
I feel like you mean disadvantage. Like a lot of cultures look at eyeballs as delicacies, but I feel like all of us as Americans probably would tend towards eyeballs are not the best part. It's like a squishy pus sack. At some point, you're gonna bite in and it's gonna explode.
Oh, that's fucked.
Well, we agree that that's what's happening, Jarek. Good luck.
Whatever part of the monkey I'm eating, I think I would not be pleasant would not be a pleasant sensation in Jarek's mouth. So, but he'll be like spit it out, be kind of like essentially like kind of like rubbing his hands like over his tongue, trying to like just like get the sense out of it, water skin, just trying to like do whatever he can to get the taste out of his mouth.
Do we just have to lift up the sculpture's arm again to get the portcullises to raise? Is that what you guys
The
think?
hand didn't actually move. Like when he filled it up with water, the water was siphoning through the hand. There was no actual movement from it. There was just a moment while he was pouring the water where the cube like popped into existence on top of Wongo's head.
We need to replace something on Wongo's head to get the portcullises to go back up.
Jarek is gonna kind of move down towards the portcullises, and he's just thinking, like, is there any way we're gonna be able to maybe break through these? He's gonna try and like test them, I guess, essentially.
Roll a investigation.
I mean, he'd probably actually just like kind of shove his shoulder against it to see how, he's not the smartest guy. So yeah.
Guys might as well give in now. There's no way to move that portcullis. It is the most solid door you've ever seen.
Yeah, Jarek will move back, like kind of. You'll see him like coming back, kind of like rubbing his shoulders, like I don't think we're gonna have to figure something out. We're not forcing our way through those.
I think the general response you're gonna get there from Taryn is just like an almost disappointed turn as he starts to say, "Should we lift them?" And then you kind of come back with that, and he almost like just kind of gets a little put off.
Is there something to be done with the other hand that would maybe make the portcullises change? Is the other hand able to take water?
Yeah, the other hand can, but you don't know what's going to happen if you do.
And that voice in your head's not helping us, huh?
I don't know. Do I hear anything?
You haven't heard anything since the one time. Are you going to pour water into the other hand, Island?
No, not yet. I'm not going to do that yet. I think it's a good idea. What do you guys think? Let's decide together in case, the ceiling falls in and kills us all. We should be on the same page.
I'm down for whatever.
Before we pour water in the potentially hazardous right hand, let me go take a look at these doors as well.
And Zap wants to go take a look at the doors and do an investigation check to see if there's anything I can see.
Gotcha. You can roll an investigation there.
That is a 23.
As far as you are concerned, looking these over, these are pretty traditional style portcullis doors made out of a hardened steel that is certainly going to be very difficult to damage and highly resistant to many things that you might do to try to hurt them. But it's certainly a potential that you could dismantle this with enough time. Probably an estimate that it's between like 500 and 600, 700 pounds.
If I hit it with the Ray of Frost cantrip, would it get cold enough to kind of like hit it with a hammer and shatter it? Steel gets really cold, it gets really hard.
You can certainly try. Guys are in like 100-degree jungle.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're gonna
Well,
we're gonna
what
have to
about
figure
the
something else out.
what about the stories, right? The monkeys were the friends. The lion killed the boar's friends. I just feel like maybe we could put the cube back on top of the statue and see if the portcullis is reversed, but I don't want the cube to disappear because we need it.
So looking at the vulture image, how close is it, and like how is it angled to the monkey's paw? Like, do I think like if I went and tried to pour water through the vulture, through the opening that we now know is there, do I think it could angle in so that it would hit the paw from there?
I don't think that's meant to be at all.
Okay. That's the only thing I was
Yeah.
thinking.
I think you should have an understanding that there's clearly like a walkway in between this statue and essentially these like mounted plaques of these busts that are almost seen to be kind of like looking over him. Not that they are nearly touching each other.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
How
think
about we-
that again is part of like a loss for like putting it on a map, because again, like if you like measured it out like map size, the face of the vulture is 5 feet plus. That thing is definitely larger in the picture than it is the thing hanging on the wall. Whereas like the statue of Wongo is actually that large. There's definitely 5+ feet between Wongo and each of like these mounted busts.
So I'm thinking now, like if we're gonna pour water in a hand, maybe we just pour water in the same hand. It's just a binary switch. Maybe something will happen.
I mean, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
What do you guys think? And we might end up with more monkeys to kill, so it might not be a good idea.
I'm down. If that's what we want to try, we can try the other hand as well. I just have no idea what the hell could happen.
Well, if the other hand was wrong in the first place, it might still be wrong in the second place, right? But the first hand was right the first time, so maybe it's like a light switch. Pour some more water.
I was
Things will
thinking
reset.
balance out the hands. You know what I mean? You got one that got water
Mhm.
poured on it. You got one that doesn't have the other. So you could be right. I think try the right hand.
We could roll a die and figure it out that way. Derek, what do you think? Anything? I think you're smarter than you give yourself credit for.
I don't think Jarek. Yeah, right or left. I don't think he doesn't have a good idea of which one's a better thought. The only, I guess maybe he'd look up towards the ceiling, from where like the monkey they seem to come out of thin air, but maybe he'd ask like Taryn if he's still kind of like up around like the statue to like just look and see like, does it look like there's any sort of like opening up there that they came through that maybe we could use to get out of here?
You could take some time
call.
investigating. The roof of this place does not seem to be open. I think it's viable for him to come to the conclusion he doesn't know where the monkeys came from.
Magic monkeys, magic cubes.
Right hand it is.
All right, let's try pouring water in the right hand and see if we have to fight monkeys again.
You guys want me to do it, or somebody else want to do it?
I totally want you to do it.
Okay. Zaps is going to walk past Jarek and go towards the other hand. And as he does, he's going to kind of tap his little cannon on its barrel and point towards the ceiling, kind of telling it, just watch. If something pops out of the ceiling, let loose.
And which hand are you going to? The same one?
What do you
'Cause
guys
I
think?
feel like
Right or
there
left?
you said the other hand.
Yeah, I don't know the right answer. I was thinking that if we did the same, if it's just a dumb switch, then the right hand again might reset it because the left hand was never, the first hand would reset it because the other hand was never the right hand, was never the correct hand. That's my logic. But I'm happy to do either one or roll a die to figure out which one we do.
Yeah, I mean, we did the left hand first, so we can do the left hand again and risk getting monkeys again, or try the right hand and try getting something worse. I'd rather try left hand again first. At least we know what we're dealing with.
That's my
Well, I'm
kinda-
thinking.
I'm
Okay,
leaning that
so
way.
he also is a trickster god, right? So maybe the vulture was trying to trick us by pointing towards the left hand, and the right hand's actually the correct one to pour water in.
Oh, and you just get the cube without anything. Yeah, it's tricky.
Right hand it is. And Zap's going to start doing what he did the first time and just slowly dump it into the right hand, not the left.
Cool.
So I think this time you can slowly start to pour water in with similar results of there is water still dripping out of the hands. They're not like perfectly cupped to hold anything as receptacle. Still watching for any movement from the arm, like starting to drop, kind of looking towards the head of the statue. You continue to fill it up. Pretty solid sense of how long you kind of expect to pour, and pretty close to that amount will pour out, and you continue to pour, and then you're pretty sure that you've poured more than you poured into the last hand. Do you continue to pour?
I'm going to just give it a couple more seconds and see if it does anything. And then if not, I'll pull off.
So you pour even more, and then you're positive at this point you've poured more than you poured into the other one. You can assume that's not going to do anything.
Okay, left hand again. Zap's just going to look around and pretty much he's asking.
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right, left hand it is. Everybody get ready. And he's going to turn around and hit the left hand again.
So after a few moments of pouring into this one, watching the arm, watching the head of the statue, watching how you're pouring your speed, about the time that you expect something to happen, you are going to hear inside of your head when a voice says to you, take the prize and curse your friends or fight my children to claim it. What is your choice? And you are going to see, as nothing appears on top of the statue, what is your choice?
I will not betray my friends. I've already told you this, and we've already done your battle and won your prize. Release us.
Kind of like look over towards Jarek, wondering if he's about to change into a bird. Seconds are going to go by. Feel like something should have happened. But it would appear nothing has changed.
Well,
So
He talked to my hand
Jarek's-
again.
sorry, go ahead.
he pretty much gave me the same choices last time, and I chose the same one, and nothing happened.
Jarek is he's trying to think, okay, we tried the left hand, we tried the right hand. Knows where to pour the water. Now he's thinking, okay, where was the water brought during the myth? Right? So he said they hid it in the Jakuli's burrow. And the Jakuli is the flying snake thing. So Jarek's gonna suggest maybe they go back, take another look at that mural thing and see if there's anything like I don't know if there's anywhere on there, like with the snake, like anything that looks like they could pour water into on that. That's the only other thing he can think of.
They're like a ceramic mosaic. I don't think that would really give you anything to pour onto unless you were thinking about kind of like splashing water against the wall. But otherwise, it doesn't. I don't think you're going to notice anything over there.
Gotcha.
Have we investigated the statue and the mural for buttons or switches or anything?
Yeah, you guys, this is the same room you guys were in before, where it is an extremely austere stone room. There are effectively like 6 objects in here and then very clean stone tiling. You guys have looked through this room extensively at this point. Um, as far as things go, I think you guys are going to have at least some level of Taryn here just kind of tapping his thumbs. You guys are thinking about this too hard. If it can fall, we can lift it.
It's like all four of us can lift it.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to say. He said it's about 600 or 700 pounds, so it's going to take all of us.
So I think you guys could probably get 3 people at most squeezed in there, either Jarek or Island, the 2 small characters. That's probably the limit you could do, and you guys are going to potentially hurt yourselves.
Island is so weak, is the thing. Is anybody stronger than me? I think Taryn's stronger than me.
So like,
Can fall.
so I know
Try to push
Jarek
him.
and
Go ahead.
I think Jarek and Taryn together have been able to get some other stuff forced open, like those really heavy doors. So Jarek will offer to, if you think we're just going to try and brute force lift it, he can, and then maybe if Zaps lend a hand, maybe him, Taryn, and Zaps might be able to force it up.
Who is going to be round 1 there? Like Taryn and Jarek? Or was that you solo? Is that what you were thinking?
No, probably Taryn with Jarek. And he's gonna actually before they start, he's gonna look around and like, does anybody have anything? And I ask, like, anybody have anything that if we can get it up a little bit, that can like um, uh, prop it up like a
Like that quarter
stonework
staff.
Well, it's super heavy, so it's gonna have to be something that's not just gonna snap under the weight.
I think Taryn should have pythons that he can hammer in there.
Oh yeah,
I've also got
all
a
those too.
crowbar.
Nice. I have a shovel or a pickaxe.
I don't know how much a crowbar is going to help.
So group 1 was going in there with Taryn and Jarek again, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Make a con save for me, please. Yeah, so you 2 have to squeeze together. There is a certain amount of putting in this effort is kind of like straining to injure yourselves, the way you have to kind of stay kind of close there. Within a few moments of the 2 of you lifting at the same time, you're already going to start to budge this door, slowly starting to get it up to the point where effectively, I think by the time you get to the limit of Taryn's height, you guys have, its waist height kind of for a human, and you have at least a part of the solution. What are your thoughts as you basically have Taryn directly under this, uh, hands high, holding it up, as well as Jarek almost standing now, like at the furthest point you could be with the door shut, and you've got like hands underneath, and are kind of holding it in like a dead weight lift. What is everybody doing down the hallway? Are you guys going to try to wedge it open from this point? Or are you just going to move out? Do you want to move through and out and then do something? Or are you going to try to...
I think we can go out and then hold it from the other side so these guys can go out. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah. Also, Zap, seeing this, can I try to cast web on the edges of like where it's actually grooved into the wall to see if I can help take some of the weight off of them?
You can definitely web it. I'm not sure it's really going to change things. It's kind of two different dynamics in play here.
I'm just basically thinking try to glue it in place, but
Yeah, I think the real danger of when you start to imagine what this thing would be is you would have to spend like all day applying webs before you gave it the chance. I feel like 600 pounds is just way too much.
okay.
Well, I'd burn a python, hammering it into the crack, but I think we probably can, just the two of us can hold it because we don't have to lift it. We just have to keep it held up. That's easier than lifting.
Yeah, I'll try to like go between their legs or in between them and get through underneath it.
Yeah, you guys have the ability to squeeze through. At present, it is effectively Taryn is outside, Jarek is at the entrance. You guys can squeeze through. So what is your plan for, assuming you bring Eku outside, assuming you bring the cannon outside? What is your plan at present then, if you've got that positioning?
Two of us to hold it in place. So
All right,
so
say it
Jarek
moment
can get
by
up.
moment. Tell me when Island is taking a hold of this thing.
Alan's going to go against the right wall, and he's going to grab hold of it and sort of press it to his body. He's not trying to lift it; he's just trying to keep it.
Gotcha. Who are you tapping out?
Taryn.
As soon as Taryn moves, you and Jarek are going to drop the door, and it's going to slam back in place. Island is too weak to assist in this.
All right, so maybe I can't help, guys.
Your
Well,
solution is going to end up being that you guys at least have to put a python in to get them through.
Well, I can do that
I was
part.
thinking. Yeah, I was thinking Taryn and Jarek had the door open. Island could, try and wedge some pythons in and see if they'll even just like temporarily hold it just long enough for Jarek and Taryn to get out, even and then if it slams shut through them afterwards, but at least give us like a essentially delay before it's smashes back down.
Yeah, like if you guys go in to recover your pythons, I don't think there is any reason that you could not figure out to just basically lift the door to take some weight off of it, remove those, and then get yourselves clear as you let it slam. But effectively, any three of you or any two of you can hold that except for Island. Nobody is strong enough to make up for Island's strength. So if you guys are cool with letting it drop, basically you have the same view of this place as before, or you guys have like the same entryways ahead of you. All five of them will now have these like steel portcullis, basically blocking their entryways as far as it would look from the outside. Temple Wongo is shut.
Oh, so do we need do I need to roll again to get it back open, or is Jarek still or is
No,
Jarek able to get
that's
out?
what I mean. We don't necessarily have to play it out, but it was me looking at things that if at some point Island tried to help out, he was going to like watch as he like drops this thing next to somebody. It doesn't have to have any repercussions. I just think that's the one solution that didn't like work.
My
Gotcha.
character is so wimpy.
Strength is a very classical dump stat because it doesn't appear to do anything. But when it has checks, they tend to be very important ones.
Yeah, I just rolled really poorly, right? Had to go somewhere. So all right,
So should have you all back on the main map there. I didn't draw the line to it, but you are essentially that Eku counter towards the kind of north of Omu. You guys have some view of the cliffs to the north of you. You've come from the east and most recently from this stone trail that kind of cuts north and south. As far as everything in this area goes, again, these are like deep jungles where you are clearing paths, moving very slowly to get anywhere where you're kind of going, with occasional views of kind of the coast around you.
Yeah, and
I don't know why I said coast. My bad.
but we'd be well, like presumably if he's been around in this area for a bit, Zaps may have know about the red wizards or have even seen them. But if just in like not knowing if they have, Jarek would just be like warning him to like we're not alone in here. There's other people trying to get these things. So just keep an eye out.
So we're gonna head west and maybe a little south.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Kind of hit this big old staircase kind of off to our west and then figure it out from there.
Gotcha. So if the plan is to move up to that next setting there, let me have a survival from, I think you guys can choose of, the three of you, two of you, please.
I'll do that. That's usually a better idea.
Jarek can go for it, I guess.
Alrighty. So, probably perhaps a little bit more kind of like a extra blast of the heat of this area. Island might do a little bit less cutting than Jarek is, as you guys are kind of clearing this path here, making a solid kind of move into this direction of the other stairs you have seen. You can spy out that they too are kind of in a north-south positioning, heading off to the north. You will kind of lose them into jungle. Heading down to the south is kind of a pretty similar situation. Looking from these stairs, though, let me get a perception check from the three of you. So while you all are kind of looking from these stairs here, Island is going to pick up perhaps the largest stone structure that you all have seen here. And you're going to see kind of like the upper outlines, probably 60 or 80 feet above the jungle floor, of a large semi like crescent shaped, like half crescent, almost kind of facing towards you. And you can just see like a little bit of this area kind of peeking up out of the jungle, almost as if it itself is its own little canopy off to the west of you all.
Yeah, let's maybe check that one out. What do you guys think?
Jarek will nod. Little out of breath after like chopping through all the the jungle and stuff. He didn't really see much of anything, but he once Island describes what it looks like, he'll nod and say, agree, that seems could be promising.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good bet.
Go for another set of survivals here for me. If you're continuing with Island and Jarek kind of leading things, it's fine. If you'd like to swap that out, we got Island and Jarek. So you guys can kind of push forward through this opening. A lot of this area is going to seem a little different. You're going to see a lot of the undergrowth seems to almost be kind of kept back. And where it does exist, it's still thick. It's still deep jungle, kind of clearing through some of these structures, making your way towards that amphitheater. And there's less crickets. There's less birds and kind of other noises around. When you guys are getting pretty close to the amphitheater, clearing this next little area that kind of sounds weird, looks different. What are your thoughts?
Caution. Jungle's always noisy, so there must be some predators around if it's quiet.
Yeah, Zaps is going to kind of put his little carved staff up against his shoulder and just get ready. And he's just going to be watching everywhere. You know, those two are up in front. Zaps is watching from 6 to 10 to 3. I mean, he's just kind of constantly sweeping back and forth, making sure nothing's coming up behind him.
And what is Jarek doing?
Yeah, Jarek is similarly perturbed. He finds this sudden lack of kind of like the normal, or not, maybe not lack, but lessening of the normal jungle sounds. A bit perturbing. I think he'll be, yeah, kind of looking towards the building. But yeah, just kind of, yeah, on edge.
And what do you all think Taryn would be doing?
I feel like Taryn tends to be less, uh, I think Taryn might suggest we kind of just like invest, keep on invest, go and investigate the building. I feel like he tends to be pretty fearless and bold.
Sound right to you, Larry?
Yeah.
All right, so how do you all switch from this more general clearing to perhaps cautiously moving into this building? Because I imagine this means you're going to stop kind of like macheteing your way through the jungle, and now you're going to start to kind of like step into the difficult terrain and find yourselves like crawling over jungle instead of cutting through it.
Yeah, we're gonna try to be quiet. We're gonna go like quarter speed. Maybe head for this stone object that might give us a little bit of a break to get a view.
We try and go like a single file so that we're only kind of making one path through, and like having whoever's in the lead almost kind of trying to have like one person trying to find the path and everyone just following them rather than trying to break through it like 3 or 4 different points through the undergrowth.
So cautiously moving through the undergrowth, stealthy. Who do you guys have in the front? Like, what's your marching order?
I would say Taryn in the front makes the most sense. Unless I don't know how zaps or how stealthy, or can you be pretty move pretty quietly?
What he's saying
Put the
is he
rogue
knows
up
that.
front.
What he's saying is he knows Island can't do that.
Put the rogue up front.
And then Jarrett can actually move fairly quietly when he needs to, so he'll volunteer to follow behind Taryn.
Yeah, Zaps is not the most stealthy of characters. In case you kind of haven't figured it out, he's kind of a shoot first, ask questions later.
So Island will go third and Zap's in the back, okay?
I think on this one, we're gonna have Taryn kind of look at Island, look at Zaps, look back to Jarek, the two of us. It's basically saying, like, maybe we should go. What do you think about that, Jarek? If it's you and Taryn investigating a little bit further alone.
Oh, like kind of scouting ahead. Yeah, Jared kind of looked back towards towards Island and Zaps, and like he's thinking like in his head like all the times we've been trying to be stealthy, and you know, sometimes like Island steps on a branch or something like that. They've also haven't always been the stealthiest, but he'll kind of like be mulling that over, like having those like kind of memories come back and be like, and after Taryn makes a suggestion, he'll kind of like turn back towards Island and Zaps, and maybe maybe Taryn and I should see if we can scout ahead a bit. If you want to hold here, we can try and see if it's clear.
Island tells Zaps there was this one time we crossed a river on ropes and everybody got across except me, and I fell in and got eaten by something. So they don't think I can do anything. That sounds like a good plan, guys.
Meanwhile, Zaps is like a walking music machine.
Yeah, basically. He's got a really bad problem with picking up knickknacks. Also, I've been looking for rocks anywhere between 1 and 5 pounds, and I need to pick up like let's just say
In the long run, finding rocks for catapult is not going to be difficult inside of Omu. This is a place of ruins. I'd say in general, if you want to pick some up, it'll take you a little bit of time to manage. But for what it's worth, I don't think it's a big deal to say that you've already grabbed some before you would have ever even met the group. So if you normally carry around 5 rocks, you can carry around 5 rocks.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Hey, Jarrett, keep an eye out for the skull chalice of Chagalore, okay?
Zaps is gonna look at him and go, "The fucking what now?"
The skull chalice of Chagalore, man. We're looking for that. That's something we're looking for. More of these cubes and that thing. It's a skull chalice, like a head you drink out of.
As long as it's not a fucking kobold head, we're fine.
While they're back behind you all chatting, Taryn is going to tap on Jarek's shoulder and silently walk away.
We're gonna get quiet now because funny time's over.
Yeah,
No,
Jared
I think
kinda,
it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious to see if like he can walk away with Jarek and you guys are just in conversation.
Yeah, the old Irish exit. Yeah, Jarek will move to try and stealthily follow Taryn.
So as you move forward through this area, you're not clearing a path. You are kind of walking through the area that's already there. There are points where there is very little underbrush that you can kind of pass through the vines with next to no difficulty. And there are areas that are still overgrown by underbrush and the vines that's very kind of natural. What is your thought as you're kind of moving forward there, Jarek? Are you stealthing up in the easy way, or are you stealthing through the vines kind of where it's a little bit more natural?
I think he'll want to stick to kind of with the vines, like essentially be as little out in the open as he can.
Gotcha. And do you keep that kind of opening in eye as you're moving forward?
You mean like kind of like keeping an eye on the open areas?
Yeah, almost like following the edge of a river. You always want to be like 15 minutes away from having seen the river's edge. Do you want to stay where you can kind of see this area where there's no underbrush, or are you just trying to hold a path?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think he wouldn't want to be out in the open, but he'd want to keep it within his view as much as he can. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
close to
So
it.
let me have you do a survival with advantage here. So you start to move forward here from where you've left the group, where you all first started to notice this kind of eerie feeling about you. The silence is going to get deeper. You're no longer hearing some of the stuff that's not even just like immediately around you being silent, but you're not hearing any of the things that kind of cry out and have become a very natural part of your day in the jungle is to hear the jungle breathing. The jungle is alive around you, and you are walking into this dead, silent area where every little creak and snap of a twig beneath your feet just sounds like somebody ringing a bell at the top of the Tower of Saloon. This is loud as you guys are starting to move forward, and it feels really, really weird. But nothing's changing. You can keep these kind of clearings in the jungle within view, but a good distance away from you. Sometimes that's 60 or 80 feet away. Sometimes it's much as like 120 feet. Sometimes you go out of view and you see it again within the next few minutes just by correcting a little bit. You guys can pass through about 15 or 20 minutes before you will start to see statues of animals that are occasionally, the first one you'll see is probably out in the area with the clearing. After a few moments of kind of looking around from there, you can spot one that's like entirely overgrown by the jungle, like inside of like the very natural jungle. Um, by that time, I think you would probably have at least seen a few breaks in the jungle's canopy where you start to see this huge stone structure that, again, like once you're close to it, you're looking up at like a 60-degree arc to see this thing that is like 80 or 100 feet above kind of the jungle's floor.
Okay. And with regard to the statues, do they, at least if he can find, if he sees one that's not too overgrown, do they look, is he able to tell, like, do they look to be like uh stylized, like they're uh crafted, carved statuary? Do they look like, how lifelike do these statues look, I guess, as best he can tell?
Um, Roll a perception at advantage. So, looking at them from where you are, you're going to see kind of pretty typical statuing. I think you would want a closer look before you decided one way or the other, but you have an initial feeling that these are not going to be creatures that have been turned to stone. They're likely stone works. But from this distance, you don't feel comfortable. You just think it's safe.
Right. So yeah, maybe like the way they're, like he doesn't, like, they don't seem to be like, in like mid, like, I don't, well, yeah, I'll leave it at that. How you
Well,
described.
say you see one where it's like a lion like reared up on its rear legs and it has its paws kind of out. I feel like it was a British beer company that had like that emblem. It might even been of Monarch for how sacred I care about things. But I think you would see I think maybe that's where the doubt kind of sits in. you would like almost look at this line and be like, that's clearly a statue, but it also could. I just want to make sure, but it could be. And that's kind of where I mean, you're almost like, say, like 60-40 or like 70-30. You're pretty sure you're safe, but not so safe that you're like not even going to contemplate moving forward with that thought.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, Jarek, given everything we've, you know, dealt with in the jungle already, I think he wants to be like 100% sure. So he's gonna try and
So you've got one like in the jungle near you that you can make your way to, or you've got one that's a little bit closer, and that was the one that's actually like out where the underbrush isn't nearly as thick. While
I
you
think
decide
he'll
that, though, let me jump back to where Island and Zaps are, as you kind of watch them walk off into the jungle towards this amphitheater. What do you two do over the next few moments? Like, what are your thoughts while you kind of like stop here and you're like waiting for Taryn or Jarek to return?
Yeah, I'm anxious. I'm like watching out after him, high alert, listening. Don't like splitting the party at all. What about you, Zaps?
I'm the same way. Zaps is already kind of paranoid after spending so long in the jungle by himself. He knows there's threats out there. He's just looking and watching and just kind of watching where they went and listening.
Gotcha. We got you both on high alert then. That is sufficient. Let me jump back to Jarek. What were you thinking?
Yeah, Jarek is still wants to get a closer look, still leery about going out into the open too much. So I think he'll first try and just see get a closer look at the one that's still within a bit more within the undergrowth.
Gotcha. Roll a investigation.
I think I've rolled a single good investigation check this entire campaign with Jarek.
I think I have to keep it to that same sort of idea where you're just kind of like lost and you know just enough to get in trouble. Every time you tell yourself that there's signs of like this is like a chip from like a stonemason's hammer or a stonemason's pick. Still not the right word. But every time you kind of convince yourself of that, you notice another thing that kind of tells you like nobody could make like hairs that are like this realistic looking. And you kind of find yourself like in just enough knowledge to get yourself in trouble. Um, you feel like you can confirm that this is not real, but you're still worried.
Yeah, just can't get rid of those like nagging, like what if I'm wrong? Like
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
you've seen the effects of this. You've been turned into stone, and you know that like before Eku brought you back, you were just gone. There wasn't a this or a that. It was nothing. So I feel like character might have a lot of issues after this. I feel like where you have that like crocodile in mind is like kind of PTSD. That moment of being turned to stone may also sit kind of deeply when you come in contact with things that look like statues.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Jarek's got it's got some mild claustrophobia. He's had that forever, but now he's like, fear of crocodiles. Like if anybody watches Archer, like that kind of level of fear at this point. You know, they're merciless killing machines, and um, But yeah, and being turned into stone, and also just like transformation in general. Now that he's also been turned into a bird, is yes a sore spot for him. So yeah, he would definitely be like, yeah. So it's like, okay, yeah, and then he tries to convince himself, but then he's like, but what about yeah? And he's walking
Oh,
back
you
and
know
forth.
what? I'm sorry, I'm kind of a shit. I've been giving you advantage for having Taryn, and I didn't give it to you on each of those last ones.
Well, I feel like I don't know if that's the kind of thing that Taryn could be really well. I yeah.
Well, the idea is it prevents me from rolling rolls for Taryn. Like while you're looking at the stonework, he's helping you. That's kind of where it works out for me not to be playing a character, but the character's still with you. Um, I'd say with your investigation, my bad, but let's pull this back. With on a closer investigation, you are able to see signs where these are handmade pieces. You can see signs where the water has aged towards like the top of the statue. And it kind of confirms for your mind that these are not things that have been turned to stone. These are, in fact, stone statues from the Omahawan people. And, over, what is it, like 300 years ago?
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like it's like almost like Jarek is like he's not sure, but then like Taryn's like pointing out all these things to help. Like no, see, it's like see this and this and that reassures him, and he kind of once someone points it out to him, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I could
Um,
see like Taryn like walking up the statue and just from on top of it, like pointing out the little gutters from where the water has started to like wear down this statue.
yeah. So at this point, about how far are we from the amphitheater, or can we tell it's an amphitheater at this point?
Yeah, I
Vantage
think
point.
by the time you guys started to move closer and closer to it, it would have shown up more and more as what you were looking at as the amphitheater. From kind of above, and like the initial distance look at it, that's where I was thinking just like you can see the stone like hemisphere. I think once you move closer and closer, it becomes clear and clear that it is an amphitheater. But I think you would have known kind of immediately upon really seeing what you're looking at. At this point, though, I would say that puts you at you're in kind of the entrance area. If you move forward more, you're going to find more of these statues. And say if you make it another 200 feet, having gone 200 feet from Zaps and Island, if you go like another 200 feet, you guys are going to get to kind of that front face of the amphitheater. And at this point, you could probably tell, maybe partway into that, you'll be able to tell that your little area is either going to go behind the amphitheater or it's going to meet up with this clearing at the amphitheater.
Yeah, I think Jarek is going to be. He's not going to want to get too far in without the others. He doesn't want to get too far away from Zapson Island. So I think he will, after being kind of reassure that these are just statues, um, still kind of put off by the quiet, but he's gonna he hasn't seen any actual like signs of danger yet, and so he's gonna suggest that to Taryn's like you should go back, get the others, and maybe approach this together.
I don't see any reason why you cannot just go back with Taryn at present. Let me have Zaps and Island roll a d4. Alrighty. So when you all start to move back to them, it's probably about 40 or 50 feet away from each other that you can see the first signs of them moving back towards you, Zaps and Island. And it's probably a little bit closer, like 30 to 40 feet, that Taryn and Jarek can make out their like stationary point. But you guys, from at least a little bit of a distance, will spot each other and can. What would you like to do?
I think we're gonna head towards them. It's like do some hand signals like you want us to come over there.
Yeah, Jarek would return the signal, like trying to like make some signals to like, be, quiet as best, you can, kind of almost like, like putting his hand down like a slowing motion and like, finger to his lips, like don't talk, just very basic. Um, and then he'll kind of just be like crouching down and waiting for them. And I try to keep an eye out as well, like while waiting for them to reach them, him and Taryn.
Yeah, Zaps will get the hint and kind of, squat down for the 2.5 foot tall lizard. Uh, he's just going to try to walk very quietly behind everybody else.
So let's go for a big old group stealth check here. Crushing it, winning it with Taryn. The stealthy guys. Zaps, I need you to roll twice on that one, though.
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't roll twice on those checks. I have it set to roll twice on everything.
Yeah, that's like with me in the damage. I cannot get it to just roll damage at the same time as the attack roll, even though I've set it that way. I just can't figure it out.
Is it only with the artifact? And, like, it's only on Jarek, right?
It's gonna definitely
Uh,
get better now. The D&D bought the D&D Beyond, right?
Oh, I'm so curious about that. There's definitely a lot of room to speculate how everything's going to play with that one.
Yeah, it sounds like they've got a bunch of plans for it. Like they're going to start introducing like specific D&D Beyond content, like not just, the, online versions of their other stuff, but I don't know. Yeah. Clearly got a lot going on recently.
I'm looking forward to their excuse of why I have to buy content on D&D Beyond now that they own D&D Beyond. And that'll force them to either give us the content on D&D Beyond, because we can't keep it past like our subscriptions, or to sell us PDFs, because I would be super happy if they would just sell me PDFs.
Yeah, Paizo does that, and they're all watermarked. I mean, it doesn't seem so terrible. Some people will probably give them to other people, but most people won't.
Yeah, like the one that I got from Tolus is watermarked with my name and like my order number on every part of the PDF. So I like offered it to Justin, and I was like, it's one of those things where somewhere deep in this code somebody could remove me from this line of who like leaked it, but other than that, like this is deeply a part of it, and that's a pretty solid solution that, they find it, they know exactly who did it. But regardless, we are getting close to the end, and I definitely broke all of the tension getting distracted there. I think you guys were stealthy enough to kind of find yourselves making your way back into this. And I think that's just kind of meeting up and starting to move forward that first little bit. You haven't necessarily moved past those statues yet. So if you guys are getting to those statues as the full group, is there any change when Zaps and Island have a chance to look at them? Does Jarek have something he wants to share about them?
Jarek will just share that the more for Island's sake, because Island was also there when I think when Jarek was turned to stone. Um, that these seem to these are just regular statues.
These are definitely just statues, and they're not people who were turned into statues.
Yeah, I think they're animals.
Yeah, I think you have probably something like, say, a lion, like a bear, semi-exotic to this location. I think they would all kind of sit in that realm where you, especially as like the anthropologist kind of coming into the situation, I think you would recognize even more like these are Faerunian animals in a place where most of the big animals that you've seen are reptilian. These are like the mammalian ones, but they're not humanoids. And I kind of feel like that's a pretty strong kind of feel, um, evoking from the actual players. Like this is kind of like walking up to a Roman arena where you see statues of not heroes, but the creatures that were heroic were these basically like battling creatures that were brought in from like, the north.
Yeah, like a statue garden or like a menagerie kind of.
And
And this,
moving forward, you're going to see that. That's why I was kind of saying this is still like the entryway, because basically this is the first of like a colonnade of these statues. I feel like statuary is a pretty good way to feel it. I like the idea that it's like that, like colonnade that you start to walk between them and feel like this majesty as you're heading towards the actual amphitheater ahead of you.
so Island says, looks like we're headed towards an arena. And where there's an arena, there's a fight. Doesn't really feel like a temple, though, does it?
Eric is almost wondering, like, if this is an amphitheater, maybe this silence that's around it is, maybe it's intentional. Maybe they, he doesn't know much about magic, but maybe they put some sort of spell or something that, keeps out the outside noise so they could focus on the, you know, whatever's, inside the arena.
Or there's like a dragon in there and he just eats everything.
Roll an intelligence for me, Jack. I like the thought that you're on. And I wonder if Jarek would almost like contemplate like this is like a big, huge issue. Like, what's it mean to be in a place that's outside?
Does he voice that question out loud?
No, no, no. I mean to kind of like influence how he was going with that thought based on this role where he almost um like distracts himself for like a airbrain thought, like a little daydream of what's it mean to be inside a place that's outside. But he definitely, I think it's a very solid place to believe that Jarek is like this place is like silenced for the crowd's enjoyment.
Yeah, I think that part of it he would kind of like he'd be thinking out loud to them. This, but anything beyond that, he's just aside from that initial thought, he's just kind of then kind of chewing on it in his own head.
So do you kind of hesitate to move forward? Are you all taking a moment to make a decision? Are you looking to move backward and kind of hedge your bets?
I mean, it's like Ivan said, probably not a temple, but might be worth investigating anyway.
Um, can I roll, like a perception or an arcana to see if I feel anything magical, like in the air? Like tell if I've been put under like a cone of silence or something.
Yeah, you can roll an Arcana. Try to feel if you felt a point that seemed different when you guys walked into the first silence. I think that's enough to at least your memory. You guys were walking and it got quieter. There was an eerie sense of quiet when you noticed it, but you don't necessarily like know of a point where you were walking and then you were eerie. It seemed pretty natural, kind of how it flowed over your consciousness. And other than that, I don't think inside of here, once you noticed kind of the eerie silence, I don't think you would have another sense of anything but that. Going from it feels weird and it's silent to now it feels so silent that everything is amplified and echoing and um, like jarring to your brain. It almost kind of, I feel like it's like that psychology of it starts to feel like a migraine how loud things are when all you want to do is be silent.
Can I hold on one second. Can I grab one of the rocks out of my bag and try to use my magical tinkering and see if I can make it shed any kind of light or anything while we're in this area?
Gotcha. So you're gonna pull out a rock and cast light on it.
I'm going to use one of my magical tinkerings. Which is
Oh, that's like turning it into a magical weapon.
basically, I can make it. I can. It's like a little light I can make in my hand. It just sheds 5 foot of light and dim light.
Oh, okay, I got you. This is what you made the thing scream with, right? With the message. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can definitely take out a piece of stone, and you can make it start emitting light. It's just an action, so this is just inside of like a turn kind of thing.
Yeah. Just like you said, I kind of noticed how quiet everything got, and it's kind of bugging me out. I want to make sure my magic works properly.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I don't even think this shows up as like kind of action economy. It's an ability check. Okay. Yeah, so you definitely take a few moments to kind of play around with one of these rocks before your tools seem to awaken it to some sort of state where yeah, it is shedding light.
Cool. I'm gonna cut the magic off to it, cut it off, and put it back in my bag, and then I'm pretty good. I'm feeling pretty hunky dory after that.
And it seems like we're still making noise. It's just like the air is oppressively silent almost like around us.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Or something in this area has everything else so scared it doesn't even want to breathe. It feels like an indrawn breath that nobody wants to let out.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely eerie. Um, but Jarek, I think Jarek is still thinking like, okay, quietly, maybe we should try and move in, investigate.
If that sounds good to everyone, let's go for another group stealth. So, as you all progress forward here from these stones to the kind of front end of the amphitheater, you can see this crescent shape that continues up like the side view of the amphitheater. This is like as if it's kind of dissected. You can see part of like the stonework where yeah, I think where the stone just kind of comes up to this edge and it just ends. Like this whole thing is just a set of stairs, and you're kind of walking towards that. Between the occasional colonnade of these beasts, they seem to be in pairs of two, as if you all are walking inside of this colonnade. There's one that's occasionally on your right. Sometimes it's inside of that little dense area that you're in. Sometimes it's inside of the area where the undergrowth is kind of very like pushed back, and certainly more dense. That's the open kind of area to your right and to the north. As you progress down this, getting closer and closer, the silence is going to be palpable still. It still holds the tension, but one of the first things you all are going to come in contact with is the sound of kind of dragging something against like dirt, and that like rough gritty sound of kind of sandpaper. You'll have like this low kind of dragging sound in the background. Just kind of like a constant din. Very soft at first, but again, because of how like the silence is, it's going to be very quiet to your ears. But at this distance, something at least is breaking the silence that surrounds this place. In that process, you all will hear the occasional kind of thump of something large hitting the ground and kind of like dull earth. And that would be, say, you feel at least the size of a human, no bigger than like a large animal that you would fight, but something of like a sizable weight is kind of like hitting the ground. And the occasional kind of like snapping of jaws and kind of like growled barks. And with that, I want you all to roll a go nature check. Yeah, nature checks for me. So coming through much of the jungle, it is difficult to avoid some of the pack creatures. The two of you are kind of familiar enough with these sounds as they start to build, and you spend some time to kind of gather what is happening here. You guys have a pretty solid understanding. There's dinosaurs where you are going, many of them, um, but it's hard to really tell like a number. You just can tell that there is plenty of them. So as you guys kind of come in contact with those three different bits of information, what are you all thinking as you're kind of approaching this amphitheater?
I think we want to head for the high ground on the seats, if we can. What do you guys think?
I agree. High ground's typically better with these type of creatures, or, staying out of their line of sight. If there's no reason to fight them, we shouldn't, but I believe we should investigate this area. Something is happening here.
Be better not to get trampled.
That's not funny.
I mean, it was kind of funny.
Making a short joke.
No, I would never do that.
So
I say we
making
do.
your way for the stairs and climbing up onto them?
What do you think, Jarek?
Yeah, part of him wants to just back away, but he agreed, also thinks, also get a better look, and he figures, yeah, maybe she's maybe getting a higher vantage point, see if we can, have a better line of sight. Makes sense.
But we're
Derek's
still
about to have the curiosity kill the cat moment.
we try to do it stealthy so we don't get seen. All right.
Gotcha. So let's go for one more round of stealth as you all basically make for this lowest level to find your way onto the stairs, so then you can kind of like climb up to high ground and kind of the pinnacle of the amphitheater.
Dinosaurs, I'd be more worried
Nice.
about scent than
2
than seeing us.
crits.
Although I don't know, I assume dinosaurs would have a good sense of smell, but
Yeah, I mean, in this game, mechanically, most predators have keen senses.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Even my little 2.5 foot tall lizardy butt has pack tactics.
So as you all move up and along this edge, you can find a place where you can not really break out into the open air of this entrance and make your way onto the first of these kind of lowest stairs. Um, Probably within the third stair, it's already beyond like a human's ability to like just like climb up real easily. The fourth is already almost doing like a pull up to start to climb, but you guys are able to make it to the lowest level of these stairs, start to climb up over this edge where a lot of the vines are like coming from here, but you can already tell there's a certain semblance of every bit that you kind of walk up, it gets a little bit clearer, and every bit that you kind of walk forward around the amphitheater, it is clearer. The stone, at least even to this point, has protected it some. It's still largely covered overhead, but it's not nearly as thick of jungle as you are very quickly getting inside of here. Um, when you guys make it up to the height, what is your initial thoughts? Are you all going further into the amphitheater? Are you just trying to get to that highest position? What's kind of going through your minds as you all make it, um, yeah, around that kind of idea?
Can we see the floor? Because I have two thoughts. Like one, I'm curious to see the floor of the amphitheater and see if we see any dinosaurs. And then two, is there a vomitorium? Is there like a tunnel that goes into the structure from any of these levels?
From climbing the edge, you're probably a little bit beyond being able to see those things. The jungle is still between you and kind of the opening of the amphitheater. But that's kind of where I mean, like if you walk through the amphitheater towards like its center or towards the other side, it's showing signs of like that's where the stone has kept back the jungle. The closer the stone is, the further the jungle rather, the less it's gotten there. So that was kind of my point, was it gets clear if you move away from this edge, but this edge at present is still like one of the initial points for the jungle to encroach, and it's blocking your views right now.
Gotcha. So we might want to climb up more to get a sight and climb in and up. Have a better view.
Yeah, in and up was clearing your way like naturally.
What do you guys think?
yeah, Jared kind of have the same idea. Like get up, essentially as high as we can, and then kind of try maybe start moving in towards the the center north, I guess. And
So another round of stealth from y'all here.
Alan's better on stone than he is in the jungle.
So as you all clear around this area, making your way a good section of this, maybe like a quarter or half of the amphitheater kind of way around, you start to get clearer and clearer views of what is a pack of 5 dinosaurs, kind of like not necessarily all wrestling, but maybe between like two different areas on the ground. You can see these 5 dinosaurs are like tearing at something on the ground. Occasionally, like one of them is going to kind of rush to the other pile, like leaping, kind of like attacking at them. But you can see that there's 5 of these dinosaurs, all of them standing on their hind legs. I believe everybody has a reason enough to recognize these as essentially velociraptor style of dinosaurs. Approximately the height of a human, probably about twice the weight, about like 8 or so feet tall, and probably about like 10 or 12 feet long, like head to tail.
Do we have any kind of view now that there's a way into the structure?
I think from here you can pretty well see that the stairs, the outside stonework of this place, is all uniform. There's not a path inside of it from this area.
Okay, thanks.
Looking down at where those creatures are, you all would see that it is a very large kind of clearing where there's occasional like undergrowth always towards kind of the trees that are all kind of encroaching into the amphitheater. But most of the half circle that kind of fills the amphitheater is beating back the jungle. You can probably see like a tree or something, like a large tree trunk that is broken at the edge of the actual jungle. But otherwise, those creatures are kind of running inside of a clearing.
And in terms of like the scale, like compared to the size of the dinosaurs as we see them, like the stuff that they seem to be like tearing at or going to, or can we get any sense of how big that is, or make out anything about its like shape or size?
I think from a distance at the amphitheater, you can see little more than that they are attacking like the same kind of two things between all of these creatures. But I think you're probably too distant, and I think there's just kind of too much movement between how these are ravenous beasts.
Gotcha. So it's not like some huge thing that they're obviously going after. It's just something.
Very much so, yeah. These creatures are, basically just larger than a human, but they are still medium creatures, and you cannot see what they are attacking between what is effectively two at a time can seem to bite into this thing, and the third one's kind of getting frustrated and attacks like the next group. That's kind of how their brains seem to be operating right now.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's the red wizards they're eating.
We can only hope.
They're just gonna look at him, look at everybody. Might not be the smartest idea to interrupt their meal, but would like to get a look at their after.
What if Taryn goes ahead and does that stealthy like?
Lyria sending one person off at this point. Now we know there's what's out there.
If we want to take a closer look, we should be ready for a fight, which I have no issue with. These things have chased me all around this jungle for months now. This isn't the first run-in I've had. Echo, what do you think?
We have no reason to kill these creatures. There's no reason to give them one to kill us.
would Eku know if this was one of the temples we were looking for?
I have familiarity with where Omu was, but I have never been here in the past. This has always been a sacred ground. For the few of us who knew, we avoided the ancients. What I have come here for is a respect of what these have done for my people, and what their actions continue to do for those of Chult.
Fair enough. Just between all of us, I don't believe this is a temple, and I tend to agree with the lady. If we can avoid a fight, there's really no reason to disturb the beasts.
Perhaps you're right. Perhaps it would be best to leave them to their meal. And I agree. This doesn't seem like the other temples we've come across so far.
Yeah, no offense, but I don't want to get turned into a kobold chew toy.
Yeah, no, I'm for leaving them to their meal, unless there's some allies down there that we can rescue, which doesn't seem likely.
If there were, we would have heard the screams by now.
Yeah, like you guys are watching this happen. If you think there's allies down there, you are a cruel, cruel person.
Well, I'm cool enough to walk away too, I guess, because I'm not that curious about what they're eating because they don't sound human.